our ministerial briefing.
Recording in progress.
I will now request a moment of silence for prayer or meditation before we properly start. Thank you. Thank you very much. I am sure the meeting advocate is properly constituted. We do have a quorum, of which I don't think it is really something that we require for the ministerial briefing of this kind, but I'm just requesting whether we can continue. Can we be advised? So we are continuing. I have been informed that the Honorable the Chairperson is busy at the Pan-African Parliament and won't be here to do opening remarks. I just want to once more welcome one and all to this very important briefing on something that is actually one of the issues that we usually pick up countrywide, that people just feel that it's either the police are not well equipped in terms of human resource or any other resources, and that we really want to know what the progress is with regard to this specific issue that is so very important, particularly in the crime-ridden country that we are, and particularly with regards to all the different challenges that communities are experiencing with regards to issues of policing and issues of criminal justice. So that is why I would like to, with that few remarks, welcome each and everyone to this very important ministerial briefing. And we will then also call on the Deputy Minister of Police, the Honorable Mr. Kasal Matale, to actually do the presentation as determined by the program. Over to you, Honorable Matale.
Good morning to you, Chair, and to members of the committee, the whip of the NCOP, House Chair, and committees and oversight, members of the NCOP, members of Provincial Executive Committee of various provinces represented here today, senior management of the South African Police Service represented by acting DNC, General Dimpani, our CFO, government officials, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. Once again, I have been bestowed with the honor and privilege of standing before this august house to address yet another serious matter of concern to South African citizens and of course to you, honorable members, as the representatives of the South African populace. On behalf of the Ministry of Police and the whole of the South African Police Service Management, I want to assure you that we do not take this engagement lightly, nor do we take our responsibility of ensuring the safety and security of this country and its people lightly. We are always aware that ours is an enormous task. Honorable Chairperson, allow me to at this stage tender Minister Bekele's apology for not being able to be part of this meeting today due to other departmental responsibilities, which also has taken the acting national commissioner not to be here with us as well, because she is with the minister on this other departmental responsibility. But however, I'm here together with General Dimpani and the team. I believe that if we could be in two places at the same time, the minister will definitely have been here as well, but it is not possible. Ladies and gentlemen, today's topic is a difficult one indeed, more so because whatever angle we choose to take on resources and the resourcing of not only the South African Police Service, but the whole of the public service, must be juxtaposed against the continuously shrinking government purse. Demands on policing in general are on the increase all the time. We've been seeing more and more being expected from our police officers, yet not enough resources are pumped our direction. I must, however, applaud the current administration for trying in the midst of all the resource challenges to increase our allocation from time to time. Unfortunately, we must accept that somehow we may never have sufficient funding to meet our ideal needs. We therefore have to do the best with what we have. As you may be aware, police service delivery across the country has been an issue for many years, and this can be attributed to a variety of reasons. But in the main, in my view, our biggest challenge remains the ability to balance resources with high levels of crimes. We must ensure that we meet service delivery needs, increasing expectation of the community, as well as budgetary constraints, which all require an extraordinary level of planning and foresight to ensure that we stretch ourselves. Of course, poor allocation of our already overstretched resources doesn't assist our cause. We are constantly faced with the ever-revolving modus operandi of criminals who are not constrained by the same limitations as us, which compels us to be more innovative in our crime combating efforts and allocation of resources. Post-1994, the South African Police Service underwent numerous strategic and managerial reforms that were aimed at improving its core police service delivery interventions, operational transparency, and broader police transformation in both rural and urban areas. These reforms included a number of innovative policing programs to change from a reactive to a proactive method of service delivery, such as community-oriented policing, sector policing, intelligence-led policing, traditional policing, and of late, safer cities interventions. In line therewith, and based on a need to deal with crime efficiently and effectively, the South African Police Service formulated various models in order to allocate resources equitably. However, all these models are affected by the financial resources available. For example, an inspections report of the Sub-Detective Service conducted by the Public Service previously found that 70% of the 33 police stations visited then did not have sufficient detective officers to undertake detective activities. And we all know that successful and effective investigation of crime requires adequate detective officers in all police stations, otherwise general operations will be negatively affected. In addition to the numbers, we all know that successful investigations require a particular skill set and proper training to ensure that our detectives provide effective results. However, due to the limited financial resources, ours is a constant balancing game of determining what to prioritize above the other. It is not an easy decision. In this instance, we are to prioritize numbers or invest in improving training and advancing technology. We are, however, continue to reinvent ourselves and trying to find ways to stretch our resources. Honorable members, for the discussion today, allow us to briefly take you through factors impacting on the police demands which affect our resource allocation, including the local vis-a-vis foreign immigration population, interprovincial migration, as well as the population growth versus the ever-decreasing resources of government. Let me allow General Dimpani, through you, Chairperson, to do the presentation on behalf of the South African Police to take over and present the detailed report that we have prepared to present for the for the NCOP. If you may allow, I will request General Dimpani to then share the presentation and lead in this regard, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister. General, over to you. Please continue with the presentation.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Good morning to Honorable Chairperson and honorable members of the committee, to the Deputy Minister of Police, all protocol observed. Chairperson, we have prepared a short presentation that I will take the meeting through in terms of the resourcing of the South African Police Service. The presentation will touch briefly on factors impacting on policing demand, budget allocations for this financial year, expenditure incurred, especially at provincial level, staff establishment, our vehicles, as well as air fleet. These are some of the few resources that we are having, and we are admitting, Chair, as per the indication from the DM, that policing demand far surpasses the resources that the organization is having. In terms of slide number 2, we are just indicating in the next slide that these are the factors that are impacting on the policing demand. You can go to slide 4, General Rabi. 3 provinces actually accounts for 34.8 million in terms of population. That will be your KZN, your Western Cape, as well as your Gauteng province. So we indicating in terms of population growth, vis-a-vis the resources that we are having as the organization, that there is more pressure and more demand in terms of policing resources. When you look at these 3 provinces, actually, these are the provinces that are actually having more population growth and the demand in access to policing services thereof. This is just for information. We can move to the next slide. The next slide is still touching for the period 2016 to 2022, Gauteng and Western Cape are estimated to have experienced the largest inflow of migrants. Over and above the demand for policing in terms of policing the people of this particular country, we are having inflows, and these are some of the factors that are affecting resources negatively. We have to then police more people in this particular regard. We are indicating with the orange graph the in-migration as well as the out-migration in terms of these particular provinces. When you look at Gauteng, the in-migration of people moving into Gauteng, it's more when compared to the out-migration. So Gauteng, Western Cape, in this regard are the provinces that are experiencing this in-migration, or people moving from other provinces into this particular province, then making these provinces to then require more in terms of resources from the police or police services access in this regard. You can go to the next slide. In terms of slide 5, still on factors impacting on the policing demand, population growth versus the fixed establishment. Over the years, we have seen a decline in terms of the fixed establishment. This, of course, is in relation to the amount that is allocated to this organization. Thank you, Chair. I have tried to put on the video. This next slide is indicating the factors still that are impacting on policing. This is now population growth versus the fixed establishment. The fixed establishment is a tool that we utilize to ensure that we do have how many people that we need in the organization vis-a-vis the amount or the ceiling that would have been allocated from national treasury in this particular regard. So we are indicating from 2016 or 2010, the SAPS Act employees in April were 151,000 with a population of about 50 million in this regard. When it comes to 2022, we look at the staff establishment that needed to be decreased, or the hiring of people within the organization needed to be decreased vis-a-vis the population numbers that we have. standing at 60.6 million in this regard. So the growth in population does not match in terms of the resources in a form of human resources that we need to have in the organization. So this slide is indicating that to say while the population is growing, the staff establishment or the hiring, the level of hiring of police in this particular institution is not growing equally the same. So these are some of the challenges that we sit with. We need to ensure that we hire police within the limited resources or limited resources that we would have received from National Treasury in this regard. So when you look at the decline in staff establishment versus the population growth, there is pressure. There is no way that we will be in a position to can then do that we want to do or achieve that we want to achieve with these constraints in terms of resources. So this slide is indicating those decline, that comparison between the population as well as the staff establishment of SAPS. We can move to the next slide. This is just a highlight in terms of MTF funding analysis. We are making general remarks to indicate that personnel is the primary cost driver for the vote police and also drives direct operational expenses. To this end, compensation expenditure is at 79 billion of the 100 billion that is allocated to SAPS. It is therefore annually determined from zero, taking into account existing personnel and new personnel whereafter they are apportioned between programs. Operational expenses are predominantly on goods and services, which accounts for 22% of this total allocation. The departmental spending over the MTF will be in relation to the core programs. Our core program being visible policing accounts for 51% of the total vote, with the detective services program, which accounts to 20% of this allocation of the vote police. We can move to the next slide. This is funding per financial program, as I indicated. When you look at the average growth rate, the average growth rate was in total 1.3%. And with program 1, as I indicated, 1.1 average growth, visible policing 1%, detectives include DPCI with 2%, crime intelligence with 1.5%, and protection and security services at 1.3%. So out of the 100 billion, the average growth rate between 2021 and 24-25 accounts to 1.3. And average growth rate of program 2 obviously was affected by a reduced growth between 21-22 and 22-23 when once-off allocations were taken into account. This is just to give the committee an indication to say the growth in terms of average growth, we are a little bit under, is 1.3, and hence we are having all these constrained resources together to manage this demands in terms of police services in this particular regard. We can move to the next slide. As a result of previous MTF baseline decreases in the vote, we had to reprioritize, especially targeting national competency. So we took a decision as management to say we are sitting with challenges in terms of a 1.3 growth on our vote. What do we do, especially to ensure that we resource ourselves at local level? So we looked at national competencies and we targeted these national competencies in order to allow for prioritization of provincial baseline allocation. So whatever we do within these constraints, we ensure that provincial resources either remain the same or we increase to a certain extent. The only way to do that, in order to manage within these limitations, we then target the national competencies and we allow for a situation where we are then allocating or redistributing resources back to where service delivery is taking place. The baseline allocation to provinces for operational types of expenditure were sustained compared to previous baselines. So even if we experience a budget reduction, we have taken a decision to say we either sustain what we had given to the provinces so that then we do not impact negatively in terms of access to resources, and we rather than target the national competencies. So provinces with the highest incidence of reported crimes are prioritized in terms of allocation of budgets. Provinces receive their budget allocation, and then the provincial commissioners in those provinces then determine or their priorities and allocate further or redistribute further in terms of their police stations. You can move to the next slide. The top 30 high contact crime weight stations in the country are prioritized in terms of resources, which includes budget allocation. We want to ensure that these stations are well resourced so that then they can be able to get out of this top 30. We have determined this top 30 nationally. These are the stations that where a lot of crime is being reported. So we prioritize them in terms of resource allocation. Each province is also allowed to identify further stations that are problematic within those areas, so that as and when we allocate, distribute and redistribute resources, we target those particular police stations and we ensure that those stations are resourced accordingly. Notwithstanding the above priorities, additional funding for prominent environment is also allocated to provinces such as within the family violence, child protection and sexual offences units, and also to deal with matters that relates to the gender-based violence and safety at police stations. So over and above that we would have allocated to the provinces in terms of their baselines, we top up for the provincial commissioners then to attend to these priority areas within their provinces. When we go to the next slide, we then are indicating a breakdown of budget allocation to provinces. I must indicate, Chairperson, that this allocation is
Recording stopped.
Is operational funding.
Recording in progress.
It does not include the salaries because the salary bill is centralized and managed at a national level. These are operational allocation, which are made up of equitable baseline allocated to a province. This allocation is managed then by the provincial commissioner. So we had a 6.5 billion that we had allocated for this year to the provinces, with the highest allocation going to Eastern Cape, your Gauteng, your Western Cape, in that particular order. Over and above the 6.596 billion that we gave as a baseline or sustained as a baseline allocation to provinces, we then topped up for the provincial commissioners to deal with the issues of buccal sample kits. We needed to ensure that at any given time, the buccal sample kits are available in those provinces. So 50 million extra was added with a distribution between those provinces as indicated on the presentation. Over and above that, we identified that there are 4 provinces that are struggling with matters of gangsterism, and we then allocated to Western Cape, Free State, Eastern Cape, as well as Gauteng additional over and above their baseline allocation. 26 million was allocated extra. These are all the reprioritization that we did targeting the national competencies. We then have a GBVF action plan in the department. We then said an additional 100 million should be allocated to the provinces to ensure that we operationalize this GBV action plan, and we also target the resourcing of our FCS units. All our FCS units must ensure that the PCs must ensure that those units are having the required resources. So 100 million was added extra over and above the equitable baselines that were given to the provinces. Issues of safety and security at police stations is a priority and of a concern to management. We have given extra 25 million over and above the allocation to provinces so that provincial commissioners can then identify those stations and ensure that all the necessary security at those police stations to prevent the attack of those police stations. 25 million was set aside and allocated as such. As I indicated, high crime stations were identified per province. We gave provincial commissioners those amounts as indicated, with a total of 62 million to attend to those stations that are generating more crime, to ensure that those stations are having resources to an acceptable level in this regard. In total, about 7 billion is allocated as operational expenses to the provincial commissioners to ensure that the necessary resources are acquired and services are acquired to deal with matters of crime in those provinces. We can move to the next slide. This is just for information of the committee. We are tracking this. We have got projects codes that we have put in place, accountability sessions with the provinces to ensure that this additional or earmarked funding that we have given over and above the allocations to provinces, there is indeed action that is dealt with. There is acquisition of these resources by the provincial commissioners. There are accountability sessions that we call with the PCs to track progress in this regard. In particular, on this earmarked funding, vehicle samples, they seem to be doing well in terms of procuring those. We have had meetings with them to check up in terms of the issues of GBV action plan and to ensure that all those FCS units are having the necessary resources. So this is for the information of the committee and to give comfort that we don't allocate only to the provinces. We also have a situation where we every quarter call in the provincial commissioners to track whether they are indeed utilizing those resources that have been allocated from national level to themselves. Next slide. In terms of the next slide, Chair. This was their performance or provincial performances at the end of October in terms of spending on the allocations that have been given to themselves. They are doing well at the end of October. Most of them are supposed to be around linear benchmark, 58% when one looks at this, with the exception of Gauteng. We don't anticipate any challenges at the end of the financial year from these cost centers or provinces for having failed to utilize their funding. So we are monitoring them. With the exception of Gauteng, almost all of them, we project that has been allocated to themselves, they will ensure utilization. The spending pattern is, of course, affected by the issue of delivery of vehicles. I will get into that particular slide because we also have allocated money for the provincial commissioners to then procure the necessary vehicles as an addition to the fleet that they are having in this regard. So we don't anticipate any challenges in relation to any province for failure to utilize the allocation at the end of this financial year. We can move to the next slide. In terms of staff establishment, we just wanted to bring to the attention of the committee the staffing requirements. What we do, we calculate the ideal requirement through our organizational development office to say for us to be in a position to can deal with matters of crime. Ideally, how many are we supposed to be? So when you look at the orange line there, it indicates from 2011, the ideal that was calculated up to 21-22. In actual fact, we're supposed to be 193. The blue graphs are indicating the actual. So ideally in 2011, when we calculate to say for us to be able to deal with matters of crime and to ensure that we are effective, we needed to be 157,000, we are 126. So the actual versus the ideal requirements. When you come to 21-22, in terms of those factors that we spoke to earlier, the issues of inter-provincial migration, the issues of population size, we're saying ideally for us to be able to deal with this situation, we at least need to be 193,000. However, the actual numbers takes us to 105 at this point in time. So we are seeing a staffing establishment that is declining. And this is, of course, as a result of those constraints that were mentioned earlier in terms of the fiscal constraints, what we receive from National Treasury, where we need to then operate within those particular limitations in this regard. So this slide is just indicating that we are aware for us to be able to deal with this at police station level, how many people are supposed to be there. So we are not where ideally we are supposed to be as a result of an impact of these constraints within the resources. We can move to the next slide. General Rabi, next slide, please. Staffing requirements, human resource. We are grateful that government has allocated at least an additional funding for this year for us to be able to can hire or increase or improve. So we are reporting back to say for this year, we had Project 10,000 that was launched. A total of 9,831 new entry-level police trainees were enlisted this year in April, and 558 police trainees were enlisted during September. In October 2022, this brings us a total of 10,389. We had 495 of these trainees already who passed out in September. They are currently placed at police stations. The rest of them, 9,300 trainees, will pass out next month, and the remainder of the 558 will pass out in June. And the 4,000 posts out of this 10,000 have been allocated to public order policing, because over and above our resource needs and resource pressures at police stations level, we ought also need to ensure that we implement recommendations of various structures when it comes to issues of public order. So 4,000 will go to public order. The remaining trainees will then be deployed to police stations. They have been allocated to provincial commissioners as soon as they come out of college in December. Then they will go to police stations. This we call it a drop. While we appreciate it, it is a drop in the ocean. We still require more to ensure that all our police stations are functioning 24 hours. There is a demand. If every time we go to Imbizos, there is a need for satellite police stations and a need for all these extra resources for communities to access. And we acknowledge that we appreciate the allocation that was given for us to be at this point in time next month releasing the 10,000. However, there is still a need for us to do more. So over and above the 10,000 for the next year, 23-24, we will only be in a position to enlist 5,000. We have advertised this post at entry level. Posts were advertised in June already. We are envisaging that the 5,000 trainees will report next year in April and March. We had thought that we would double this number, but unfortunately due to the constraints, we will then only be dealing with 5,000 for the 23-24. However, the Minister of Finance announced in the MTBS on the 26th of October that funding has been made available for the recruitment of additional 15,000 new entry-level trainees over the next 3 years. The allocation medium-term budget will assist in capacitation of the stations further. So this we prioritize police stations. We want to see our police stations with more members, all police stations operating within 24 hours so that then we can be able to assist the communities and communities can have access to policing services in this regard. And we appreciate this effort that has been allocated to us as the police by government in this regard. So this is progress in our effort to ensure that we resource police stations and provinces accordingly. Next slide, please. We further embarked on re-establishment of former members. We had 200 posts that we advertised in March, where we are then saying members who had left the service could apply, and these members will then be placed in various stations. A total of 144 former members were enlisted to date. These are comprising of constables, 54 sergeant, 68 warrant officers, 22, and are placed at various police stations. So over and above our enlistment of new constables, there are other processes that are being embarked upon to ensure that we deal with resourcing of our police stations to be able to deal with issues of crime. We also have post-promotion phase, filling of posts on supervisory level. A total of 3,890 posts were advertised internally in August, and we envisage that latest today, this particular post will then be announced, so that while we have these members in police stations, we do have station commanders, we do have commanders that command the detectives, the crime intelligence, to ensure that work takes place properly at station level. So these are some of the work that the organization is doing to ensure that we resource ourselves and we are able to deal with matters of crime. The senior management posts are dealt with on an ad hoc basis, and in particular with the focus of resourcing ourselves at district level as well as at station level. We can move to the next slide. This is just a snapshot in terms of what is available in terms of vehicles per province. We do acknowledge that we do have challenges in terms of matters of our garages where we need to jack up in terms of improvement on the timelines that it takes for us to fix those cars. There has been instructions that has been given to ourselves by our principals to ensure that we deal with these matters. Initially, garages were centralized to the National Office for Command and Control. We have diagnosed that that particular process was not assisting us. We have since devolved the powers to the provincial commissioners to then be in charge and manage these garages. That a particular process happened in this financial year, and it is an ongoing process. To this end, we are having 49,000 vehicles in terms of provinces as per those particular numbers that are on the screen. This is the current fleet. Over and above this, on the next slide, for this financial year, we have put money aside. We can go to the next slide. And we have ordered vehicles as follows. For 2022-23, we have ordered 2,991 vehicles for the provinces. This is in consultation with the provincial commissioners, in particular because the terrain differs province per province. So it is important that the provincial commissioners are the ones who indicate what type and make of vehicles that they are looking for. In total, we have 2,991 that have been ordered. We have received 818 up to so far in terms of delivery, and we are working with the merchants or the service providers in terms of these vehicles. We have 2,173 that must still be delivered. We are monitoring. We had challenges in terms of other models that the provincial commissioners were looking for, where those particular merchants had indicated that they were affected by a whole lot of factors, and they could not deliver, so we had to reverse and change those particular orders. But we are anticipating that by the end of the financial year, we shall have received all 100% of the vehicles that we have ordered in this regard. So this is only the vehicles that talks to the provinces, with a few with head office components at 291 vehicles in this particular regard. We are monitoring it, and we anticipate that by end of March, all our vehicles would have been received, and the allocation that is sitting in this space will be utilized 100%. Can go to the next slide. This is just an indication in terms of subs fleet. What do we have that is available, and it's also an area that we are prioritizing to this end. We have put in orders in terms of new helicopters that we are ordering. I must just indicate that this one, when it comes to the replacement of these helicopters, sometimes we do not have those in the country, and we have to then go overseas, and the procurement process take a little bit long, but this is just for information to indicate which province is having what in this regard. All of them, at least, they're having a wing and helicopter, and when there are operations, we can utilize from another province, and if those resources are available. This is just the status in this particular regard, with 5 that are at head office for purposes of also assisting and augmenting when there is a need at provincial level. We can go to the next slide. Just to touch, as I wrap up, on subs infrastructure in the next slide. This is just a picture in terms of police stations. General Rabi, next slide, please. Subs footprint or police stations, we indicating from 2009 to 2010, we had 1,116 police stations. Up to 21-22, we had 1,000. Back to that slide, General Rabi, 1,158 police stations. We have 52 districts, 1,158 police stations, and satellite police stations, 199. I must just indicate that for all our police stations to operate 24 hours, we need personnel, we need vehicles. And over and above the 1,158, we then go further and open satellite police stations where the population would have grown to an extent that we need to then expand the footprint. So we have close to 200 of such satellite, and there's still more need. As and when we go to the individuals, the communities are calling for us to extend these footprints. We are having challenges, Chairperson, in terms of this space, as we have dependencies. As and when we want to establish these police stations or build these police stations, there are dependencies that we are well aware of. So we are unable to increase our footprints the way we would want to, but we are dealing with those dependencies together with our principals. This is just to indicate our footprint in terms of provinces, what is it that we have in terms of police stations as well as satellite stations. There are also mobile CSCs that we have procured, that we are distributing to police stations to ensure that where there is a need, then we have mobile services that we can then deploy to those areas to provide those urgent services that are required. We can move to the next slide. This is an executive summary of SAP's infrastructure development program. This comes from 2021 up to 25-26. We are just indicating the areas of focus. Perhaps for 23-24, we have 178 projects that we are targeting in this regard. We also need to ensure that while we are planning to build police stations, while we are struggling with those third-party dependencies, the current and an existing infrastructure, we need to ensure that there is maintenance in this regard. So for 2022, we had 371 projects that we have planned across the country, and the 23-24, we have 178 projects that we have planned, including security upgrades, including electrical upgrades, as well as installation of air conditioners within our infrastructure facilities, victim-friendly facilities. Also, we have those within our Capital Works program. In total, the SAPS IDP projects for 22-23 are 371, for 23-24 are 178, with 177 and 115 in the outer years. We can move on. This, Chair, I hope it was not long. It was just an overview in terms of the limited resources that we are having. Our focus is ground level, where service delivery is taking place. We do reallocate these resources from national level because work happens at station level. It is our wish that these resources additional that government has made visible or available to us will assist us or will go a long way to ensure that communities are accessing our services in this regard. With that in mind, I would like to thank the Chairperson for this opportunity. Deputy Minister, I hand over back to Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General Dimpani. Thanks, Chairperson, for giving us the opportunity to make the presentation. No, we were given an hour, General Dimpani, to make a presentation, and we used 45 minutes of the time that they gave us. Thanks very much. We really appreciate this opportunity, Chair, and members of the NCOP, for us to make this presentation. Thanks very much.
So there is nothing that you want to add, Honorable Deputy Minister?
No, we are happy with what has been presented. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next step will be for us to now allow the members to engage with your presentation, and then we'll take it from there immediately. Someone that is indicating with a very dark hand, it's Honorable Nana. They want to start the engagement. We will take it from there.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. That's actually the pigmentation of my skin. Sagalam Patiswa, I did warn earlier that I'll be asking my question in isiXhosa, so I would expect that you are ready with your translation. Sagalam Patiswa, isebe lezamapolisa belinekroba okanye ithuba lokuhlengahlengisa uhlahlo lwabiwo-mali lwenyuse imali eliyinika ibutho elizimeleyo elijongene nokuphanda ubungqwabalala bamapolisa, i-IPID ngokwelasemzini. Ukuba umphathiswa lo ucele ebezimisele ukubanika izoso ukuze basephule neengcambu izikrelemnqa ezisemapoliseni, kutheni le nto nifedile ukwenza oku? Ngamanye amazwi, kutheni nifedile ukwenyusa uhlahlo lwabiwo-mali lweli butho le-IPID? Ukuba impendulo yenu ithi bekucuthwe imali kuwo onke amabutho ezobupolisa ngenxa yongabikho kwemali, umbuzo ngokuba kutheni le nto ningacuthanga phaa kwi-VIP protection budget nje, nicuthe nakuhlahlo lwabiwo-mali enirholisa ngayo izinciba-mxhaka zesebe lamapolisa, i-top management ngokwelasemzini. Enkosi.
Thank you, Honorable Nana. Next is Honorable Du Toit.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister. Minister, the subject of the briefing talks to the resourcing of the police service and police stations to wage a concentrated battle against crime and criminality. Now, when you wage a battle, you're proactive, you're not reactive. And the fact that there's a shortage of resources, of vehicles, sufficient, well-trained personnel, etc., it's evident we know about that. I've been monitoring the unrest and protest action in the Northwest Province for more than 6 years now, and you can agree that the country finds itself in the so-called yearly striking season. But from the nature and the protest action that we see now, it's definitely changed over the years. Deputy Minister, the unfortunate truth is that because the SAP's resources are overstretched, and in most instances, law enforcement is not necessarily taking place, but rather the monitoring of the situation. Currently, as we speak, the whole town of Zeerust has been blocked off by taxis, and no one is allowed in and out, not even the children that needs to write exams. It's called a service delivery protest action, but there's no representation of the public in this protest action. My question, Deputy Minister, 3 of them. Why have the 200 SAPS members in the Northwest Province that were identified and allegedly received public order police training to act as first responders not yet provided with the relevant POP kit and protective equipment? And when will they receive it? Second one, with SAPS crime intelligence knowing about the total shutdown of Zeerust at least a day before, why were the criminals allowed to restrict flow of traffic since numerous laws were contravened in this road closure? Why didn't SAPS act reactively, or proactively rather, not only in this instance, but also in similar mass road closures? And the last question, Deputy Minister, with Minister Sele responding to a written question to the Freedom Front Plus, indicating that most of the police stations in the Northwest does have power generating capacity during load shedding, have you made provision for additional diesel purchases to take place to let these generators run? Because I personally contacted at least 3 police stations yesterday morning after road closures, and the phones just rang. Obviously, those generators weren't running. No electricity equals no telephones, equals no radio communication, and then the public are the ones that needs to feel the brunt of this. Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Du Toit. Next is Honorable Mikalakis.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chair. Deputy Minister, many police stations do not have holding cells, or even worse, they have holding cells, but they're not in a condition to be used. I see it frequently on my site visits to police stations. This eats into the fuel budget of the SAPS, which should actually be used for crime prevention. And the Minister has admitted this in a written question, that it eats into the fuel budget of the SAPS. It is a nationwide problem. Why was this left to become such a widespread problem? And why do we see very little being done to address it at the moment? Thank you.
You are through, Honorable Mikalakis. Then we will now allow
Now,
Honorable
thank you,
Sheikh.
Deputy Chair.
Honorable Sheikh.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson, and let me also thank the Minister and the Department for the presentation, as well as outlining challenges around the increased demands on the police force and balancing the demands for the need for increased resources. Deputy Minister, the Minister of Finance, in his 2022 medium-term budget policy statement, outlined that government will see years. Can the department outline how will this recruitment be structured in a way that it caters for critical areas in the police that require human resource capacity? Thank you very much, Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Sheikh. Next will be Honorable Sileko.
Goeiemôre, adjunk, voorsitter. Ek moet verskoning waar ek heidaglik is dit 'n bietjie donker en dus kom ek nog nie my kamera gaan aansit nie. Maar op 'n goeie noot moet ek sê u tuin in die begin het nogal baie netjies gelyk. Baie dankie vir daai.
Dankie.
Honorable DM, there are police stations in this country that are currently not able to operate optimally due to public works being a mess, the Development Bank of South Africa delaying payments, and using rogue contractors. And my question will be, what is the effect of Minister Delil and Public Works' inability to do their job properly on the police? Baie dankie vir daai enkos.
Thank you, Honorable Sileko. Honorable Christians.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. My question is about rape victim assistance. Deputy Minister, why in countless cases do police stations refer rape victims to other units or directly to a hospital instead of assisting them at the station itself? There are still numerous stations without rape kits at the moment because they do not assist victims at the stations. Now, after all this time, all the promises that have been made of resources and the ever-increasing assault on women in this country, SAPS has not adequately responded to the scourge. Have we not learned any lessons here? And if we have learned any lessons, Minister, what are they? Thank you very much, Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Christians. Honorable Matibula.
Thank you very much, House Chair. Deputy Minister, my question is about the Zumeri Satellite Police Station, which I've sent several questions regarding it, where the satellite police station is forever closed. It's operating with one vehicle, catering 18 villages. And on the response that I got from the department, you said that there are new recruitment that you are busy with. You are going to place another police in that police station. But so far, the police station, if I can tell you now to come now, you'll find the police station being closed. And when victims want to be assisted, they have to call Guyani police station, where the landline, as well is the landline that is known by the public, is not working. They have to wait for long hours to be assisted. Last week, I was very touched, Deputy Minister, where a rape victim was raped at night, and then she has to wait for a police van. She was raped at night. She go and report. She wait for the police to come and open the police station. She reported the case, and she was kept waiting there in order to have a police van to come and pick her up to refer him to the hospital. So I was very touched. I want you, Deputy Minister, to take a turn into Zumeri Satellite Police Station and check the situation there. It's very bad. People are getting killed during the day where the satellite police station is closed. Can you please, Deputy Minister, come and check this police station and assist this community? The communities are suffering. And then in your presentation, you have indicated that there are 65 vehicles that was delivered in Limpopo, and then the others they are still going to deliver them. The same situation, Deputy Minister, in Guyana Police Station, when you go and report the case there, they will tell you that wait, there is no vehicle to go and assist you there. You have to wait for some few hours for another vehicle to come back, and then you go and get assistance. So I wanted to check among these 65 vehicles, is Guyana Police Station being allocated a police vehicle? And then as well, on the issue of fighting police crime in various communities, I wanted to check with you, do you still consider hiring police reserves so that it can assist as well in fighting crime in various communities? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Matibula. Next is Honorable Lond.
Just before that, Honorable Deputy Chair,
Yes, Chief Whip.
Mohai here. Thanks very much, Deputy Chair. We've just received once again a request that if honorable members could try by all means to switch on their videos when they are making contributions. As people representatives, I believe that they will not find it difficult to show off their videos so that the broadcasting houses are finding it difficult really to follow without members showing on their videos. So please, Deputy Chair, it's a request to honorable members because they should be settled for this very important session. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Whip. Honorable members, I think we are requesting it every time when we are starting with any meeting or a gathering of the NCOP. If you are going to speak, please switch on your video unless you are experiencing problems. We know that there is load shedding and all of those, but for this few days, we know that there was no load shedding. So let us just try. Thank you. Thank you. We are now going to allow Honorable Lond. Welcome, Honorable Lond. Long time no see.
Goeiemôre, agbare ondervoorsitter, en wonderwerke gebeur tog dat daar nie load shedding is nie, né? Ondervoorsitter, my question is as follows. The SAPS is currently, the SAPS is currently solely the function of the ANC-run national government. A recent Western Cape High Court judgment stated that there is evidence that gang members have infiltrated the top management structures of SAPS in the Western Cape and are accessing key documents and strategies on crime fighting. The judgment has highlighted the alleged corruption and collusion between the SAPS and members of the so-called 28th gang. There are barely any days where Cape Town residents are not affected by gang-related activities, with many people often likening hotspot areas to war zones. We will give the Honourable Deputy Minister the benefit of the doubt that you are aware of this infiltration of SAPS and the alleged collusion and or corruption between your department and gangs. My question, therefore, Honourable Deputy Minister, is this. When did you first become aware of this, and what has been done since you became aware to take the necessary steps to address this? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Lond. Honorable Mutsamai. Honorable Mutsamai. If Honorable Mutsamai is not available, Honorable Boshoff.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Chair, and good morning to the Honourable Deputy Minister. Honourable Deputy Minister, on our visits to SAPS garages, we still have cases where there are no car parts and even where parts are stolen from the SAPS vehicles standing at the SAPS garages at night. This problem does not seem to have been solved by the new procurement processes and contracts, and vehicles still remain at garages for much longer than it is supposed to. Deputy Minister, will you acknowledge today that the current system is not working. Thank you very much, Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Bosho. Next is Honorable Ndongeni.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair, Deputy Chair. Morning, Deputy Minister. The fight against crime and criminality requires police visibility in our community. This means that the police should have vehicles to undertake and patrol, amongst other things. Given the tight fiscal situation our country finds itself in, what are the plans by the police to strengthen police visibility in the face of fiscal constraint? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Ndongeni. Next will be Honorable Aukam. Honorable Aukam. Honorable Aukam. Honorable Aukam is not available. Honorable Lutuli.
Greetings.
Honorable Lutuli, we can't hear you. You just try again. Honorable Lutuli, can you try again?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, we
Am
can.
I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, you may
Thank
speak.
you. Can I switch off my camera then so that I can be audible enough?
Yes, indeed, we allow that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I was asking with Deputy Minister, in the police station, I have wrote so many response to Minister asking why the police station is short of manpower. The police station, I'm a police and it makes them also is that police station into the
Honorable Chair, we cannot hear the participant.
Honorable Lutuli, there is something wrong with your bandwidth. Can you just try again, because we could hear you at the beginning? But can you?
Okay, can you hear me now? Am I audible enough?
You. I hope it will keep like that. Continue.
And then into the
Lindile, can I come back to you? Can I come back to you? Let me take one or two other members and come back to you. Is it fine? Can you just wait? When I was looking for you, you were nowhere. So you wait. So I will allow Honorable. Let me just take Honorable Aukam again, and then I come back to you, Honorable Mutsamai. Honorable Aukam.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Chairperson, am I audible? Can you hear me?
You are. Northern Cape doesn't have so many network problems. So
there you go. There you go. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, a colleague of ours from Gauteng went to fetch her firearm license last Monday. She waited for more than 2 years to get it. In September, it was announced that temporary licenses would be issued, and although this was welcomed, the main problem does not seem to be addressed. When and how will you get rid of this backlog with regards to firearm licenses, Honorable Deputy Minister? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Aukam. Honorable Mutsamai.
Can you?
Honorable Mutsamai.
Please.
Honorable.
Doesn't matter.
Honorable Abaskakli, I don't know what's happening, but we hear all what you are conversing. Honorable Mutsamai, again.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Yes, there you are.
I just want to know from the Minister, Deputy Minister, in Palm Ridge Regional High Court, Ekurhuleni,
perpetrators are winning cases. Cases are very serious cases of rape, fraud, are going to the court, and when they get to the court, cases are being withdrawn with full evidence. And when you go and look, sometimes you'd find that the file are missing. Sometimes the police, they fail to bring dockets to the court. And sometimes the victim are failing to attend the court due to the transport, money transport, and the perpetrator will simply win the case. I want to know why things are happening like that at that high court, or is because there are people who are being paid or perpetrators are buying cases from that side. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mutsamai. Let's try again, Honorable Lutuli. Let's try again.
Thank you, Chairperson. Can you hear me now?
We still hear you. You start up
Thank
very
you so
good.
much. Thank you. No, the first question was about the police station Yasendwedwe. We've been writing so many letters to Minister saying ukuthi police station ishodelwa amaphoyisa and also imoto azikho ziyashota. Lokho kwenza ukuthi umsebenzi wamaphoyisa aseNdwedwe ube nzima because ngisho makuthiwa bathi kudingakala iveni ayikwazi ukuphuma because amaveni ngithi awu-2 kuphela. And also i-police station yaseNdwedwe nakhona Ndwedwe lapho session yakhiwe ngama-culverts, it's been there for years. Ngizalwa ivese yakhiwe ngama-culverts ukuthi kulindeleke ukuthi amaphoyisa aperforme kanjani ama-duties awo. Akukho nje nezindlu zokuyikhulula, bashona ehlathini bekufuneka bayikhulule. So owami umbuzo ukuthi uminister iziphi inhlelo anazo ngala ma-police station asemakhaya. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you, Honorable Lutuli. Honorable Dangor.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And thank you, Deputy Minister, for the briefing. Minister, I want to thank the police for rapidly responding to the issues in Finetown and Ennerdale yesterday. There has been promise of satellite police stations being erected there. But we realize that crime is not only, or the prevention of crime is not only a police matter. It is also a matter within society. And some of these issues that are now happening in Gauteng is really a spillover from the Western Cape. So I think if they can also share what they are doing regarding the communities and community policing and the public being involved in the prevention of crime with the people that are in Gauteng, particularly the areas of El Dorado Park and Ennerdale that are affected by these things, it is important that that information is shared amongst provinces and amongst localities so that it doesn't only become a police matter, but it becomes a matter for the public to be involved in. Thank you again for the rapid response yesterday. Hopefully those issues will be resolved very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Dangor. The next will be Honorable Bosch. Honorable Bosch.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Deputy Minister, on the 5th of October, I wrote a letter to the Minister to request urgent intervention for the mass killings that has been taking place in Gauteng, specifically in the El Dorado Park, Westbury, Riverlea, and Deep Sloot areas. But till this day, I have not received a response back, and it's almost a month later. These areas are covered by 4 police stations. It's the El Dorado Park stations, the Sapphire Town station, Langlaagte, and Deep Sloot. And all 4 of these police stations does not have a dedicated vehicle for each of its sectors. And on average, there's a 15 to 20% vacancy rate, with not enough vehicles in general, with some of the vehicles being in the garage for more than 500 days. At Sapphire Town, the police station itself is also a health and safety hazard, with the emergency exit being welded closed and the fire extinguishers not being serviced for the last 2 years. Now, in the last 3 months, more than 40 people have been killed in rogue shooting incidents due to gangsterism in these areas. And yesterday, another man was shot dead, brutally killed, while sitting in a wheelchair in Westbury. This cannot continue, and the community has lost all faith in the police, and this needs urgent attention. So can the Deputy Minister please indicate when will the ministry visit Westbury, Riverlea, and Diep Sloot specifically, as well as Eldorado Park? What emergency measures will the ministry put in place to stop these daily killings? And what additional resources will be allocated to these police stations, and when will this be done? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Bosch. Honorable Mtetwa.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deputy Chairperson of our NCOP, for the opportunity. Good morning to you and also to colleagues and the Deputy Minister on the platform. Deputy Minister, there has been a likely or no report incident in the recently past that badly reflect on the police with regard to public order policing. As Honorable Dango has also cited the issue of Peace Town, where we see your policemen, men in blue, really handling that crowd very well. So, Minister, how is the Minister intending to further ensure that your POP is capacitated to execute its task without undesirable incident? And two, Minister, now that in the presentation that was presented here, it has indicated that most of the fleets are now been decentralized to provinces. Is there any specific garage that is going to be given this type of work to ensure that they service police vehicle with the normal cost without escalating the cost, and ensuring that this garage don't stay with them for a long time, and they understand that this vehicle, they're supposed to be on duty 24 hours. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Mtetwa. The next will be Honorable Ryder.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson. And to the Deputy Minister. In smaller provinces, and even in some of the bigger provinces at the smaller stations, our ordinary Vispol police are used to do rural safety patrols because the rural safety specialized units have limited capacity. Now, we acknowledge the hard work done by all of these officers, but it's the limited capacity on these specialized units. Is that not a reflection on how seriously SAPS nationally takes rural safety? We're seeing a real problem in terms of the prioritization there. Will the Deputy Minister admit that they are under-resourced? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Ryder. The next will be Honorable Arnolds.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson, and greetings to the Minister, Deputy Minister, and then also to the officials, and then to all the members that is present. Chairperson, the Deputy Minister, when he started with his introduction, and he was referring to and saying that that policing is a serious matter, and we agree with him that policing is a serious matter, and that we need to pay more attention to the policing in the country. Chairperson, he also referred to there is not enough resources in terms of policing. But my question is, what are they currently doing with the resources that they have? If they are saying they don't have enough resources, let's look at what are they currently doing with the resources that they have. And the first question that I want to ask is, why is the police failing to protect their own police stations when criminals rob their own police stations of our firearms, etc.? Why are they failing in that responsibility? And when it comes to the protection of citizens, we can understand why there is a lack of trust in the police. So this is my first question. Then the second question that I want to ask the police and the minister, deputy minister, did they receive any complaints from community members saying that there is police vehicles standing at or parked at some of the police houses or somewhere standing there, not doing anything? And if yes, what have they done about that in terms of those police vehicles? Then, Deputy Chairperson, some of the problems with the response time can also be attributed to the outdating technology. And I think response time must be improved. So what are the plans with regards to outdated technology? Then, Chairperson, there's also an urgent need to address the problems with the forensic science laboratory. There is a urgent intervention that is needed, also in terms of the resources and work done. And then what are you doing when it comes to the appointment of vetted members to manage your docket archive stores? Because this is also one of the challenges that there is in terms of your managing your docket archive stores. That's all for now. Thanks, Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Arnold. We will now go to Honorable Baha.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Deputy Minister, we have a problem of load shedding across the country. And now what I want to check is, has the minister discussed with the Minister of Public Works the option of getting police stations off the grid? When are stations upgraded to install solar power in order to minimize the effect of load shedding? If not, why not? If so, why have we not seen any of these projects being implemented? Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Baha. Next will be Honorable Malika.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. Deputy Minister, the fight against crime inevitably involves the community, and in particular, the Community Policing Forum, the CPF. My question, I want to check, how is the minister intending to further strengthen the capacity of the CPFs in their role in the fight against crime? Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Malika. Next will be Honorable Mukai. Honorable Mukai.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chairperson. Chairperson, my colleague has touched on the issues of vehicle, Honorable Bossoff and other colleagues. In the Northern Cape, we have a serious issue of vehicles. And my understanding is that there's a contract that the SAPS has with the service provider. For example, if a police vehicle needs a bulb or a tire, they need to procure and submit by SCM to the service provider in Johannesburg. For service provider, either a local shop, a gold wagon, or a tire shop. Isn't the current system now, stabbing the pulse in the back, because vehicle might need a minor thing, but that must be couriered from Johannesburg or the other service provider in Durban to the station to the office in Kimberley and taken to a town like Nikerkswap or Warrington, and that in its entirety delays the problem of resolving the issues of the vehicles. So my question is to find out from the Deputy Minister, can't we currently work on the contract and the procurement system that the SAPS has in terms of having a service provider and to procure something so far as Johannesburg, which can be procured locally. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Is Rera van die Noord-Kaap en jy vertel ons nou die hele story. Honorable Kleinhans.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. And my question to the Deputy Minister is, the Harry Smith Police Station serves a population of 180,000 people. There are 2 satellite stations at Siami and Interbazwe, but these were shut down because of a 30% shortage of personnel. There is also no generator at this big police station. It is impossible for one station with such a population to function in this way. Will the Minister undertake to ensure that the staff shortage is addressed urgently and that these satellite stations are opened? And if so, by when will he do that? And if not, why not? Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kleinhans. Next will be Honorable Gillian.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson, and greetings to the Minister and the Deputy Minister who is present in the House. Deputy Chairperson, there are reports that the dog unit plays a key role in the fight against crime, such as the peddling of drugs and searches. My question to the Deputy Minister is, if he can tell this August House, what is the status of the dog unit in the country? I thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Gillian. Honorable Labuskaghni, you will be the next.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Deputy Minister, what happens to the police stations that have already used their year's fuel budget allocations for generators and transporting detainees to and from holding cells? Where will they receive funds to buy fuel to do their work once these funds have run out? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Labuskaghni. Honorable Bartlett, you are the next.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chair, I just want to find out from the Minister to shed some light on the state of the police infrastructure, police station and police institutions, Chair, and what are the plans going forward to address these challenges of the infrastructure. I thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Bartlett. Chief Whip, Honorable Moai, you indicated also then, or was it just about the videos?
It was just about that message earlier, Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Whip. I only have one question that I want to also put. It doesn't have to be responded to. I hope the issue will be addressed. We have been in several provinces, and particularly in the rural villages, they've got a serious issue of access to police station. So I saw that there is a lot of provision for satellite stations. But how do you, for instance, address the issue around the areas of Moloto North, KwaMhlanga, just to make sure that people should not be walking, because in the villages they are still walking because also of the lack of public transport, walking more than 5 kilometers or almost 10 kilometers just to access a police station. That is an issue that I don't feel need a response, but we need a report as to what is the forward planning for issues around rural policing. Thank you very much to all the members for your engagement with the presentations, but also generally with the issues around resourcing and problems within the policing system. We will now give over to the Deputy Minister and the management that is present here to respond to the issues that have been raised by the honorable members. It's just, I'm very sorry, Honorable Mushodi, what you are doing is very unfair to me and to all of us because we've been here for a long time. So I hope you will excuse us and possibly go to the provinces. There will be another opportunity to ask questions. Thank you. Over to you, Honorable Deputy Minister and your team to respond to the issues that have been raised by the honorable members.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thanks to members for the questions that they have asked. I will request that we allow General Jimpane and the team to respond. I will come at the end to respond to what might need myself and not necessarily an operational matter. General Jimpane, through you, Chair.
Over to you, General.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I will start with the issue of generators as well as provinces having exhausted their fuel allocation. We are aware of that particular issue. Chairperson, if a province has made projections that there will be overutilization of that allocation, they do write to us, we assess the request and we reallocate funding, especially from head office, to ensure that we support that particular province. So we have engaged with the provinces to ensure that anybody who has made projections that they will be over their allocation in this regard, we will be in a position to assist those particular provinces, in particular with the underutilization of resources at national level. So I will be supporting the provinces in this particular regard. There is a interaction that will be taking place with Public Works on the 10th of November in relation to addressing the matters surrounding load sheddings. We do have police stations that are devolved to us where we can take decisions to ensure that we install solar panels. However, there are other police stations that we require permission from Public Works. We have to this end written to Public Works to give us that permission so that those particular police stations, in particular in the rural areas, we are able to install those solar panels, but the discussions are continuing with Public Works in a meeting that is planned for 10th of November in this regard. In relation to the issue of garages, we admit that we have not done well in terms of managing those garages. Hence, the decision was taken to say, instead of commanding these garages at national level, it does not assist. Let's devolve the command of these garages to the provincial commissioners. However, we should not devolve this command and control to provincial commissioners without the necessary support. To this end, the Divisional Commissioner of Supply Chain Management is currently visiting all the provincial offices to ensure that we hand over proper garages and we chart the way forward in terms of how do we then assist in terms of capacitation of the garages and challenges that are experienced by these transversal contracts that the department is participating in. He is currently in the Western Cape engaging with the provincial management in particular to deal with matters of garages. Last week he was in the Free State, and we want to believe that the interventions that he's currently embarking upon will assist us in this regard. But we admit as well that we need to further, as and when we get an opportunity to hire employees, that we also focus on the garages to ensure full capacitation. The National Commissioner has also given an instruction that we need to have some of the garages operating on a 24-hour basis, so that as and when our vehicles get into accidents or minor accidents, we are able to 24 hours, those garages ought to be operating. That exercise is currently being looked into within the department in this regard. We do have few mobile services as well in terms of garages, but the Divisional Commissioner of Supply Chain Management has been given instruction to sort out the matters of the garages. Hence, he is visiting all provinces with his intervention. In terms of projects, we do have challenges with the third party. There is ministerial intervention in terms of the matters of infrastructure. Hence, you will see most of the time the department will struggle in terms of spending within this area. There has been intervention as well at portfolio committee level between the two departments so that we can get to a point where we are able to utilize this allocation to deal with infrastructure, but that intervention is also taking place. In terms of allocation for the recruits, we do prioritize frontline services, police stations being on top of our priority, the issues of detective crime intelligence, forensic services, as well as public order policing. So those are the prioritized environments as and when we get to have additional opportunity to recruit police in this particular regard. So police stations, we will allocate a number or post to the provincial commissioner, and we expect that in terms of priority, we prioritize those hotspots police stations and to also ensure that all our police stations are operating within 24 hours. The issue of availability of rape kits, a contract was put in place. Rape kits are available at provincial level and as well as at national level. It is a matter that is being monitored on a weekly basis, where provincial commissioners are also submitting certificates to confirm that indeed these rape kits are available. We need to strengthen in terms of command and control and monitoring of utilization in this regard. All police stations, police members are expected to treat victims of rape victims that arrive at their police stations. And if there is any case that comes to our attention where the conduct of our members was not at the level that is expected, we then take the necessary steps against that particular member in this regard. I think the same issues in relation to availability of members in some of the satellite police stations and police stations where the PCs have indicated that they will be capacitating these police stations with the new recruit. We must indicate that we had a 2-year gap where we could not recruit. Therefore, we are sitting with a backlog in terms of numbers. And we're also experiencing attrition, natural attrition. We lose about 6,000 members on natural attrition every year. Hence, we are then indicating that next month after this particular pass out parades in January, those members as allocated to provinces as per the numbers, the provincial commissioners will be to a certain extent able to attend to the priority areas, but it will not be enough as we indicated. For us, it is a drop in the ocean, but we appreciate that particular situation. So we believe that by January, all these new members will then be arriving or have arrived in those police stations to assist us to a certain extent to attend to these shortages in this regard. The 65 vehicles for Limpopo and Guyana Police Station, we could provide a report having interacted with the PC just to check whether the current vehicles that she has received, was there anything allocated to Guyana, or is she anticipating to allocate Guyana in the next batch? This we could provide a written report in this regard. The judgment, Western Cape, the department has studied the judgment through the legal services. We are in the process to then make recommendations that we obviously investigate those allegations fully. So a senior official, we are recommending to the National Commissioner that we appoint a senior official to urgently investigate these allegations. So the judgment was recovered or recouped by our legal services. We have studied it. A submission is on its way for the National Commissioner to appoint a senior official to investigate these allegations and to take the process forward in this regard. There was also a question in relation to, I think, the letter that was sent to the minister on 5th October. We would then be retrieving this letter and following up to check whether indeed a response was not provided. Then we will follow it up to ensure that the response is provided accordingly. We will work with the Office of the Minister in this regard. On the 10,000 recruits, as I indicated, we made visible that within this 10,000, 4,000 has been prioritized for capacitation of public order policing. We have various reports that have made recommendations to say we need to jack up capacity of POP to enable the organization to deal with these matters of service delivery, protests, and unrest situations. So as our first step, we have set aside 4,000 allocation of posts to capacitate POP together with those physical resources that goes together with this 4,000. So out of the recruits that will be coming out next month, 4,000 are prioritized to capacitate POP. It is also not where we want it to be. So this is an area that is prioritized on an annual basis in this regard. So we will continue to ensure that those recommendations are attended to and the relevant resources are available to assist us in this particular regard. In terms of rural safety, there was a rural safety summit that was organized by the minister. I believe an implementation plan was compiled. However, in terms of resource allocation, as and when we allocate these resources to the provincial commissioner, those are the priority areas in terms of allocation of members to police stations. So it is areas that are also prioritized by the provincial commissioners in this regard. We had issues in terms of these contracts that deals with issues of availability of space. As I indicated, these roadshows or these interventions that the Divisional Commissioner Supply Chain is currently embarking upon is precisely to assist your main garages and ensure that the availability of a space and delivery of this space, so that then we are able to sort out these matters that have been troubling us in the garages. The Moloto North Mhlanga, we will provide a report as indicated in this regard. If the chairperson allows, perhaps just to check with General Rabi, if there is anyone that I have missed that perhaps he would want to assist me with in this regard. Thank you, Chairperson.
I think, General, you can indicate who can follow to respond to some of the other issues. I give it totally in your hands so that you delegate to your members accordingly, and then we will take it after you have concluded.
General Rabi, Honorable Chairperson.
Honorable Chairperson, good afternoon, and good afternoon, Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, and members of the committee. Honorable Chair, I'm of the opinion that General Dambane responded in general to most of the issues that has been raised. I do not have anything on record with me that I think I need to mention. Thank you.
Thank you, General Rabi. Yes, is there any? I think there are still many other issues that need responding.
Yeah.
Responding.
Yeah.
So, on General Dambane. Yes. Okay. You may continue.
Thanks, Chair. While they are looking at whoever is there to make additions, I think there are issues that were raised which still need us to talk to. And amongst this was the concern that was raised by the first question. I forgot to. In fact, I missed the name of that honorable member, but he was effectively talking to the issue of, given the fact that there are this serious resource constraint, why don't we take resources that are utilized by management and VIP protection to go and utilize them in areas where there are weaknesses. I think that the way to deal with the issues is not to adopt that approach, because we do need management to be able to manage this institution. And you can't say because you have problems like we're faced with, you should go into that direction. And the issue of VIP protection is part of what the South African police do. It's an area that we can't say because there are these constraints. There are these constraints. You don't need that. I don't think that is the way to go. The way to go is to ensure that the areas that we are unable to reach as the South African police, we do what we have said needs to be done, because our approach and understanding to the fight against crime is that it is not a police responsibility. I think Honorable Dango did explain this appropriately, even when he came to pose a question of what are we doing to involve community in the fight against crime. Because as the South African police, there is no way we will succeed in the fight against crime if we don't work with communities. Because crime happened in communities, crime is observed by community members, and there are instances where even members of parliament make certain observations that they do as they go about doing their work. And those observations, when they are brought to the attention of police, like today as we are interacting with you here, you are raising issues that we have not seen as police, but now that you have raised them, we do respond, but we generally will go back and say there are these observations that members have made in this or that station. For instance, there is Honorable Matebula who says that I must visit a satellite in Dzumeri, and I want to say, Chair of the session, that I have taken up that invitation. I will definitely go visit the satellite station in Dzumeri and see what the honorable member have observed. So it is through this type of interface between ourselves and yourself and ourselves and the communities that will make it possible for us to deal with this shortcoming that we are having because of resource constraint. And this resource constraints is not a creation of the country as such. The world over, the economy is facing challenges. And this is as a result of part of the things that were unplanned for. For example, COVID. We never planned to experience COVID-19 since it started in 2019 December in China and coming to our shore 2020, and even currently we still are grappling with that phenomenon. It has made a serious impact on the economy and therefore on our ability to generate revenue, which will then be apportioned to government for different services, including policing. Of course, this is not the only thing that created this problem. We did in our presentation, Chair, and members, if they remember, the slide 16, which you have with you there, which talks to staffing requirement of police station. It talks of the actual and the ideal. And if you look at it, the difference is quite huge there, 105,000 as opposed to the ideal, which is 193,000. That is not the only area where you have had the actual and the ideal. Even in terms of the previous slide that was talking to the number of police personnel that we have. In 2010, we had 151,000 and we were policing 50 million people. In 2022, we have 140,000. We are policing 60 million people. If you look at the two scenarios, it says to you, since 2010 to 2022, we did not increase the number of police officers as the population was growing. What was happening as the population was growing, the number of police officers was going down, with the exception of 2012, where we had 157,000. But from 157,000, the graph went down by 2017, when we had 56 million people. The police numbers had gone down to 150,000. from 151 of 2010, where we're policing 50 million. Here we're policing 57 million, and the number of police officers is 150. But as that graph, I think slide number 6, our members can look at that. When the population continued to grow, the police numbers decreased to 140,000, and we are policing 60 million. So there are a variety of factors that have brought us here. But as the leadership, we have taken a stand that says we need to increase the number of police personnel that we have, at least to where we were in 2010. And this does not mean that when we reach the level where we were in 2010, we will have reached a number that is desirable, because the population is not going to wait for us to reach the 2010 figures. The population is continuing to grow. And obviously, by the time we reach the 2010 figures, the population will have grown to such an extent that it has created a bigger problem for ourselves, and we need to increase the numbers. And if you look, you recall what General Dimpani said earlier on, that annually, through natural attrition, we are losing 1,000 police officers. This is not a good figure, because, for example, this year we are training 10,000 people, and we are losing 6,000. So effectively, we are bringing 4,000 new people into the picture. And this 6,000 loss is 6,000 loss that has been happening over a period of time. That's why today we are at 140 because of this. And the augmentation only started kicking in 2019, when we trained the first batch of 5,000, and now we are going to train we are going to release this 10,000 on the 15th of December. And the following year, we are training another 5,000, and I think the Minister of Finance did indicate that we will be training 15,000 over the next three financial years. And we just hope that we will be lucky to be given extra 5 like they did this financial year, because we need to increase our training intake for the next 4 or 5 years for us to increase the personnel. So this shortage is going to be with us for quite some time, but to deal with it, we'll need to strengthen the role that the community must play in this regard, through strengthening community in participation in policing. And we are doing this by going out to communities through the community in Bezos that we are calling almost in a month. We sometimes have 2 to 3 community in Bezos where we are talking to communities about the role that they can play. And if we can master this and have communities playing a central role in our fight against crime, even if we have less foot on the road, on the street, we will be able to succeed in our fight against crime, because communities will be assisting us in this regard. And this is scientifically, it has been proven correct that when you work with communities, you become successful in your fight against crime, because crime takes place in a community, in a township, in a village, in a rural setup, in cities. So, and these are areas where people are staying. Wherever crime is committed, there is a person who sees what is happening or who hears what is happening. And it is these people who then become the eyes and ears of communities. So our fight will succeed as we work with communities. We agree that you know, intelligence work can assist us greatly in doing our work and ensuring that we become successful in our interactions. The issue of the cells that are not renovated or they are non-functional in police stations is a problem that we have observed as the police. Last week, I was in East London. I visited 2 police stations there through our programs of unannounced visits to stations. I found that one of the police stations in East London, the town or the city, the cells are not operational. And this is because the renovation that has been requested from Public Works have not taken place. And as a consequence of that, they are not used. And police officers must then transport those who are arrested to holding cells in a different place. It's an expense that the police station have not budgeted for, but it's an expense that the police station must carry because they have no place to can put these people who have been arrested, and as a result, they must transport them. Obviously, it will eat into the budget, but of course, the General Dimpane has already responded to that when she talked about the diesel that will finish because of these circumstances we find ourselves in, and that they will have to make submissions for them to be given an augmentation so that services to our people does not get stalled. But in this regard, there are discussions that the ministry together with the management of police have been engaged in to look at various options of how can we deal with this challenge that we are confronted with because of the inability of Public Works to assist in this regard, because we can't just sit and complain about Public Works while there are other options that we can explore to deal with this shortcoming. And here we're looking at involving other agencies that have got the capacity to can assist us either in building police stations or with the repairs and maintenance of our existing police stations, including the holding cells that are not operational or are not functional to date because you have got a broken door which has not been fixed because of the lackluster of Public Works. So we are engaging in this process, and I think there's a submission that was made to the National Commissioner's Office. Hopefully that will be okayed so that we can look at the options of using other agencies like your Development Bank of Southern Africa, IDT, and all other agencies that are there in the state, because capacity is there. It's just that it is not utilized in a manner that it can assist us to deal with the challenges that we are faced with. I think the issue of ensuring that the recruitment that we have and we are going to do for the next financial year, we must deal with the shortage in the strategic areas. The General Dimpane spoke to that, and we think we should be able to attend to that very effectively. The issues of Public Works, there is an interaction between them, led by them, both the Minister of Police and the Minister of Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, to deal with the problems that we are faced with, which is as a result of how Public Works have been, conducting itself with regard to providing the necessary support that we need at SAPS. And this is it affects the failure of Public Works affect our ability to do our work. Members were talking about areas that don't have police stations. If you look at the graph that was talking about police stations, there are instances where we could only build one police station in a financial year. or sometimes 3 police stations. And that type of a scenario is completely unacceptable. You can't say that in a financial year, you can only build 1 police station, or you can build 3 police stations. But this is a fact of what we have experienced over the years. I think when you look at your slides, you will see that indeed from 2009 to date, the number of police stations that we have built is very minimal, and we can do more. So it has a negative impact on our ability to do our work. The issues that talks to the rape kits, I think General Dimpani responded to that quite appropriately. I just want to re-emphasize that if it so happened that a specific police station is having a shortage of rape kits, I think if we are alerted to that, it's a matter that we can be responded to, because all provinces, as she has said, they have rape kits. We have had one experience in the Western Cape where we're told that a particular station did not have rape kits. And when we wanted to understand what is the problem, don't we have rape kits in the province? They said they have. And then why is it that in this station they say there is no rape kits? When we investigated, we found that the people who were supposed to make requisitions for the rape kits, they didn't do so, meaning they slept on the job. And as a consequence of that, that station was without a rape kit, but we were able to ensure that the province dispatches the rape kits from their storeroom to that specific station. Yes, you will have an instance where you can find that, police did not do what they are supposed to do. But this does not mean that we don't have these rape kits. We have resolved this problem of shortage of rape kits in 2019, because it was a big problem between 2018 and 2019, this shortage. But ever since that time, we made sure that the stations have what is required. And I can confidently say that what she said is correct. That is no longer a problem that we have with us regarding that specific item. I think I did, the issue of reservists, we will not reach a stage where we don't need reservists under the circumstances. We do need reservists, and we do utilize them to do policing work, and where possible, we also integrate them into the greater service. Like I think last month, we had a pass out parade of those who were reservists who are now absorbed as full-time police officers. But this does not mean that as we absorb them, we are no longer going to have reservists. We will definitely need them, and we will follow the necessary protocols in their recruitment. Well, we have always accepted as the leadership, both ministry and management, that we do have elements amongst the South African police who work with criminals. We have admitted this, and we have taken steps against those who are found to be working with criminals, and we have expelled them from the service. Some have been arrested and sentenced as we speak. So that is there. We have a zero tolerance towards our members who work with criminals. So I mean, there's a question that Honorable Lord raised about, I hope I pronounced the same name correctly, that our members.
Honorable Lord.
Yes. Yeah.
Lord.
Yes, Lord. Yes. She raised an issue that we have police officers that are infiltrated by gangsters. It's true. We have those who work with gangsters, and we have taken action against those who are found to be working with gangsters or working in a manner that is criminal, because the service is meant to service and it's at the disposal of the people of South Africa. So anybody who does not adhere to what they are expected to be, we will then take necessary steps against that. The current system, I think the General Dimpani spoke to the issue that where Honorable Boshoff was saying the current system of replacement of the repair of vehicles is not working. And therefore there is a need to look at it. Yes, I can't say it's not working. It is working. It's just that there are challenges. And these challenges need to be attended to. And General Dimpani appropriately explained what we are doing with regards to decentralizing and getting provinces to be involved in these processes. We have observed that some of these are a problem. I was in Kuruman, where it was brought to my attention in terms of the experiences that they have when a car has when a car has had a tire, what they need, the processes that they go into in repairing something like that, having to go to Pretoria, which is completely unacceptable. And that is a matter which I raised with the National Commissioner, and they did indicate that it's interacting with the General Fani, our new head of supply chain, who's currently, like General Dimpani said, visiting the Western Cape and other provinces to look specifically at how supply chain can play a meaningful role in ensuring that the services are more efficient and accessible to our stations with ease without this complicated way of repairing cars and repairing vehicles, which instead of being accessible, it is very difficult to do so. The issue of the backlog around firearms, we have taken a view that those who deal with the management of firearm at station, the designated officers, must only deal with the issues of firearm and not be given other responsibilities, because we observe that there is a problem that those who are assigned to look at firearms, sometimes they are given other responsibilities, and as a result, it impacts on their ability to do work. But if they can focus specifically on looking at firearms and nothing else, we will be able to deal with this backlog that we have. And we're quite confident that definitely this approach will assist us very greatly. The problem that Honorable Mutsamai is talking to with regard to what is happening at the regional court, you know, once police have done their work and submitted the file, somebody has appeared and issues are before the magistrate. Our work is to give evidence to ensure that the case succeeds. But I hear that the dockets disappear in the magistrate. We'll have to investigate what is the problem, at what point is this thing happening, to ensure that we work together with justice. Because once, you know, we bring the magistrate into the picture, it's a matter that then involves justice. Or once we finish our case, we refer them to prosecution, justice come into the picture, and we need to work together to strengthen the administration and the management of the dockets, even when they are at court, so that we don't have what Honorable Mutsamai is raising here. I think the issues of Honorable Lutuli around the shortage of personnel and vehicles, the General Dimpani have spoken to. We are committed to ensuring that police officers receive, our police station receive the adequate personnel and adequate vehicles for them to be able to do their work. We'll have to look at this thing of shortage of rest room, police officers having to go and relieve themselves in areas that are not appropriate is completely unacceptable. We can't have a situation where our police officers work in a station, but when they are to relieve themselves, they must go somewhere else to do that. It's completely unacceptable and is not appropriate for us to have this. We will definitely accept the request for us to visit Honorable Bosch, Westbury, Reveille. I know that we have been to El Dorado Park with the minister, I think almost thrice since we came into office, but this does not mean we will not visit El Dorado Park. If there is a need for us to visit, we will. But definitely the other areas, we think it will be appropriate for us when time permits. We also visit that to ensure that we are able to hear what are the people, what are their challenges, and for us to deal with the challenges that they are faced with together with our communities. Because as I said earlier on, ours is not to do things on behalf of the communities, but is to work with communities to deal with the challenges that they confront on the daily basis, to ensure that things are better and they live in environments that are quite appropriate. I think we have, Chair, tried to respond to the issues that were raised, but it might be possible that we might have missed one or two of the things that that were raised, which we overlooked. Yes, there was an issue of the problem of vehicles that are parked where they are not supposed to. We have made a call to members of the community, and I think it's a call we'll reiterate here, and to also request members of the NCOP, where they observe such situations where a vehicle, a police van, is parked at a village or at a township or at a place where it was not supposed to be parked and doing nothing. Most of them, they have got telephone numbers on their side. Please call us and alert us to this, that you see a vehicle that is parked and doing nothing, yet people, when they go to a police station, they are told there are no police vehicles, yet a police is parked at a particular person's place where it is not supposed to. If we are made aware of such things, we work together with members and the general public. We will appreciate that, and this will also act as a deterrent, because police officers will realize that it is not appropriate to go and park a vehicle where you are not supposed to park it, because the community and members of the public will report you to relevant authorities in the police, and you will be in great trouble. This will assist us greatly. We will urge members to ensure that we work together around this. I think those are the issues that I have managed to think we might have not responded to, Chair. But if there are other issues, you will advise us that there is this question that we did not respond to. But otherwise, I think we have responded to issues that members have raised. Thank you very much once more for having afforded us the opportunity to interact with members of the committee. We are wiser, having visited the NCOP and having had this engagement with yourself, Chair. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Minister. I think, yes, indeed, unless any one of the management is sitting with a burning issue that they have recorded, that they think that they have not necessarily responded to us. Yes, there was an issue of electricity, and particularly the contingency plan during the issues of load shedding. I think there is one issue that I didn't hear. And also, I think members are indicating, let me just open the chat group so that we can see there is, okay, it's just the POPs issue, POPs that are not necessarily equipped for the job that they are supposed to be doing, and then the issue of load shedding. If we can get responses on that too, we will then conclude this section and go to the next sessions. Honorable Minister or generals, any one of you that want to respond specifically to the issues of load shedding and the issue of the equipment of POPs that is being used in most of the areas that there is like Fine Town, what is particularly happening there now. Over to you, police, management and leadership.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Maybe on the issue of load shedding, what I had indicated earlier is that there are continuous engagements with public works. At this point in time, there is no plan to get any police station off the grid. Instead, what is happening, we have written to public works in terms of the non-devolved police stations so that they could give us then permission so that then we we supplement those police stations, looking at options of solar installations. There is work that is currently happening in terms of the devolved police stations. So we will further concretize this particular matter on our engagement with public works on the 10th. But in terms of us engaging that we get police stations off the grid, that scenario has not arisen in this regard, but we will give further progress after we have engaged with public works in terms of those that are non-devolved, whether we have received permission and the installation of solars, what is then the plan going forward in this regard. At this point in time, there are those generators, as we indicated, we supplement provinces in relation to the procurement of fuel, but this engagement with public works will then discuss the matter forward. In terms of POP, yes, indeed, as and when we add this 4,000, there is an instruction. We are working with the relevant offices to ensure that the relevant physical resources are available for those members to be in a position to have those resources as we deploy them. I think the question was around the ones at the police stations that are trained as first responders. That one question, Chair, if you allow us perhaps to submit a written report in this regard in terms of their resources, whether they are centralized or whether the provincial commissioner is in a position to can then deal with this. I'll request that we be given permission to give that particular report in writing in this regard. There was also one that was left behind, Chair, in terms of FSL interventions or prioritization. FSL has been prioritized. I think a lot of ministerial intervention in this area. Quite a number of critical posts have been filled. We have taken interns, made them permanent to ensure that we invest significantly in this area to sort out the challenges that we had in this particular space. I believe those are that was one question that we did not respond to. However, others that we may have left out, General Rabi will do an assessment and we will provide written report in this regard. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, General. I also think some of the issues is very provincial specific, and in the next session we will have the MECs. So I think in that interactive session there is other issues that can be raised. Let me just now express our appreciation for the comprehensive presentation and also responses, particularly also the assistance of the Deputy Minister in making sure that we have a better understanding of how you are approaching the policing problems and resources within the country. And I will now, just after having really expressed my appreciation to the national leadership and management of SAPS, I will give over to Honorable Nyambi to continue with the program as we have set it out. Thank you very much to everyone. Over to you, Honorable Nyambi. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Greetings to Minister, Leadership of SALS, MECs, representatives of SALGA, honorable members, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's always an honor and privilege to meet like this, where we have this ministerial briefing. Now we'll go straight to the briefing on provincial and municipal, in the focusing mainly on resources of police service and police station to wage a concerted battle against crime and criminality. The provincial representatives will have our MECs. we'll be doing them in an alphabetical order, maximum strictly 10 minutes. We're starting with the MEC of the Eastern Cape, Honorable MEC Ngata. Honorable MEC Eastern Cape. Is the MEC?
She's not available. Can we continue, Honorable Nyambi?
Okay, we can go straight to Honorable MEC from Free State. MEC,
I can stand in
Honorable,
for him. I can stand in for him, Chairperson.
No, Honorable Nana. John, Honorable Nana, Honorable
Kuba
Chocolate.
Kuba.
Honorable Puluana from Free State.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and the opportunity given to me to present in this August House. Let me firstly accept, Honorable Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity. Honorable Chairperson of the NCOP and the Deputy Chair, Deputy Minister, Honorable Chairperson of the Committee, Honorable Chief Whip, Honorable members of the NCOP, Honorable MSs from different provinces, leadership of Salga, police generals with their different ranks, support staff from the NCOP and the ministry, ladies and gentlemen. Today's session is on the resource of the police service and the stations. We have made a presentation that will talk about the provincial demographics, criteria of post allocation, resource of the police station, and the human including physical police facility. So we'll start to introduce our subject. Chair, just to inform you that in the Free State we have 111 police stations, and then we're having 59 captains, lieutenant general, we are having 31 colonel, we are having 15 brigadier, we are having 6, and then we are having 5 district commissioners, which are major generals. We are having 18 units in the family violence and child protection and sexual offense. We are having 5 units, vehicle crime investigation unit, 11 units on a stock theft unit, 8 units on a dog unit, 10 111 centers, we are having 3 of them, 3 units. So the district, as I've indicated, we are having 5. I think it's a repetition of the information I talked about earlier on, except to say that we are also having the flying squad that is having 4 units, vehicle safeguarding units, public order policing units, 3+3 sub-unit, tactical response unit, we're having 2, mounted unit, we're having 2+3 sub-units, accident unit, we're having 1 unit, and government garages, we're having 9 of them, 9 units. The criteria for the post allocation. Stations are categorized in respect of the following. Category A is a captain station, which is a small one. Category B is a lieutenant colonel station, which is a medium. Category C1 is a colonel station, which is a larger. And then category C2 is a brigadier station, which is also a large one. Also classified in terms of the rural, urban, and rural mix and urban stations. Post distribution is based on the number of received, 85% distributed for operational, environmental, and 15% for support functions at a police station. Station performing at 24-hour services. This have been not 24-hour station. Provincial and specialized unit is determined on the approved work, study, investigations, and conducted. Criteria for the post allocated or allocation. Post allocation is subjected to the funding irrespective of the compensation budget as allocated by the National Treasury. The province received a total allocation of 10,638 to distribute. This is 40% less when compared to the allocation in 2016. I think the minister did talk about that in his presentation, the deputy minister. The establishment of the new units, such as the murder and robbery, cold cases, operational coordination, and anti-gang contributed to these deviations. All police stations in the province have been allocated 60% and above in terms of the post distribution. The challenge is in terms of the actual personnel. Recruitment and staffing. Collectively, the project reservists and the project 2019-2020 resulted in a total number of 995 posts concluded. The reservist project trainees have been concluded. Their training is in September 2022, and total of 128 trainees were placed at the police station in the province. The trainee of this project 2021 to 2019-2020 will be concluding training in December 2022. The process of selecting of this project graduate is still ongoing. The entire process has resulted in an enlistment of entry-level personnel, resulted in a total number of 1,027 that were sent to the college. They will be joining police stations in December 2022. Vehicle availability. Vehicle distributed to the police station and units. This financial year, 2021-2022, vehicles allocated to police stations and units 127. In this financial year, 2022-2023, total number of vehicles delivered to police stations and units are 24. Total ordered for the 2 financial years is 151 vehicles. Vehicle availability from 31st of October to 2022 in the Free State. For status 1, we have 13. Those are in mechanic A, B, C. They are differ 42, 19, 25 G in terms of those available vehicles, and the number of those who are still in penal beating, and then those who are still in the garage, and the number of vehicles that are present in the government garage. We'll go to facilities management and capital works. There are police stations that the department, as the minister indicated, the deputy minister indicated, we are jumping that slide, but I think the members are able to see. So this is the facilities that are there, that the Department of Public Works has outsourced to DBSA. Those who have been on the news or that has been making rounds is the Ordinal Police Station and the Park Road, Welcome, upgrading, and the IDT ones is Kahisano. It's of a construction of a new police station. Those are the areas where the Public Works nationally is working. Free the stock theft, construction of a new stock theft unit. So those are the areas which the SCM is also busy with. But I must indicate that it's only last week, Deputy Minister and the Chair, that the National Public Works has come to allocate, to look for the office space for the PSS protection services, which was not been having an offices for the past 3 years, since the offices that were operating were disqualified by the Department of Labor. It's only last week that they were here promising that they will find those offices and then they will work as a matter of urgency. So those are the areas that we are still busy with, that the Public Works working with the DBSA and the IDT in repairing all those areas you see around. I'm not going to go through them in the interest of time. We'll go to the next slide. Infrastructure analysis. Police stations are 111 as I've indicated, and then 18 devolved subs responsibility in respect of maintenance and not in public works. These are the least police stations: Meloding, Roadside, Mauking, and Orangeville. State-owned police stations is 107. Edenville is located at premises of the Department of Justice. Satellite police station as indicated in the report. And then Kutlwalong and Nyakalong, those satellite stations, I think the Nyakalong one is not operational, but the police are taking that because of the shortage of the manpower as indicated. We are having these generators, 190 project for the replacement of old generators. Police station depend on boreholes. Some of them, particularly in the areas of Kwakwa, station depend on a specific tank where there are no waters, and then those areas are indicated in the report. I think the honorable members can see. And then we go to the next slide. Infrastructure analysis, we still continue. Maintenance affecting functionality. Limited office space for a new unit, investigation unit not located on police station premises, finalization of capital works project, e.g. the Park Road one, including the Odendal one. Those are the issues that are hampering on our work. And then I think we are, Chair, there was a disturbance.
As you round up.
So in wrapping up, Chair, we are having a limited space. In conclusion, investigating unit not allocated on police station premises, finalization of capital works project are hampering, particularly in Park Road and Odendal's Rest. One police station in Edenville situated in the premises owned by the Department of Justice. I think those are the things that are affecting the functionality. So that will be my last slide. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable MEC. The next presenter will be Honorable Radzilani from Limpopo Province.
Good morning to you, Chairperson. I will request that maybe I be requested to present later, since I was not aware that the report will be requested in this platform. So we are busy making sure that the report is ready. So I just want to plead with the chair and all the honorable members that maybe you skip Limpopo for now. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, it's not a matter of must to have it, but it's a good thing to have it. We can grant you that and go straight to Mpumalanga. Honorable Mdimanzi Shongwe, VR.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Let me take this opportunity to greet you, Mkhaya.
Yes,
and,
Mkhaya.
Make sure that I also greet all honorable members from the NCOP, and of course, the Deputy Minister and all the generals and the entire team from the SAPS, my colleagues, MECs from different provinces, your support staff and our own support staff, and everyone who is participating in this debate, which is talking about resourcing of the police service and police station. My presentation, Honorable Chair and members, will be on a high level of presentation. It's not going to deal with details. Safe to say that as South Africa, we are dealing with crime and corruption that needs to be dealt with faster and make sure that we are equal to the task as police services and be well resourced. We'll understand that today's criminals are more sophisticated and they drive faster cars. And we must make sure that we are also equal to their deadly weapons that they are carrying from, time to time. We are saying that as Mpumalanga, we join hands with the Deputy Minister and the entire ministry that policing, you can't do it alone as an institution, but it can be dealt with properly with the community involvement at all levels. You know that when we're talking about the gangsterism that has infested, our province and the entire country, these are children, these are kids of our own relatives and everyone else. You will know that ourselves as Mpumalanga were bordering with Mozambique and Swaziland. The influx of people from our neighboring countries, in most cases, they are not coming here for the noble, intention. Some of them are coming to our province, to commit a different level of criminal activities. Some of them are coming here to be involved in illegal mining. And when we are talking about policing, it needs extra resources to deal with that sophisticated part of work. It is a work that involves your DMR, your Department of Energy, but eventually the criminal elements of the criminal activities that goes with it. From time to time, they need policing, and policing do not have enough resources and enough budget to deal with situations of that nature. But we cannot relegate it to criminals and say we're not going to do anything. Recently in MLO alone, we had an operation with the Lieutenant General Manamela in our province. We were able to arrest about 300 of criminals that were involved in those illegal activities. And I can tell the honorable members that 189 of them are foreigners. And those, I'm talking about foreigners that do not have, proper documents to be in the province and so on. So in the Mpumalanga province, just like in most provinces, we are facing with shortage of resources, and that sometimes dampen the fighting spirit of our officers. And I must say, Honorable Chairperson, we are now facing festive season. We have plan in place under the Lieutenant General Manamela and the traffic management in our province and our department, and that needs more resources. And I must say to honorable members, we do not have enough resources to deal with policing and also traffic management in our province. And I'm definitely sure that to bring this particular topic or debate in NCOP, it is one lack of tools that we usually use to make sure that some of our challenges as departments, as ministry, it is dealt with by members of the NCOP and our different legislatures. The Mpumalanga province has a number of funded posted police stations, which have decreased from 8,222 to 7,957, which means there's a decrease of 265 posts. And those posts, when we talk about them, Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, we are talking about resources. and the shortage of resources to fill them. The Deputy Minister have correctly pointed out that for over 2 years, there was no intake of police, in South Africa and in our province in particular. And that have, created some challenges in number of police stations. And the chairperson of the National Council of Province have also highlighted an issue of Wamhlang, which is a very correct analysis, and I fully concur with the chairperson of the National Council of Provinces. It's a matter that needs to be attended to. We have seen it ourselves. We have been there ourselves with the provincial commissioner. We have engaged on those matters, and we are going to make sure that we attend to them as required. None of the post decrees are SAP as Act post, but is a public service ex post. This means that the police station still has the same number of police numbers in our post, particularly in Vispol and detectives environment. And I must say, Honorable Chairperson, that we have engaged Treasury, we have engaged all sorts of those in making sure that as South Africa, we need to realize that when you talk about policing, when we talk about issues of safety, that is one department that cuts across all departments in the country. There will be no education if there's no stability in the country and in our provinces. There will be no stability if there will be no health if there's no stability. There will be no person who will want to invest in our country and in our province if there's no stability. There will be no cultural activities in our different, provinces and in the country if we do not have, a proper and a stable country and the province. And that needs resources. And as South Africa, we must say and admit that we need more resources to the Ministry of Police and to the Department of Safety and Security in the different provinces in making sure that all our plans and our envisages for 2030, it is informed by the country and the provinces that are stable. So, I must say there is a need of 762 personnel at stations. There are 402 students in the SAPS training college that will be placed at the station in Mpumalanga province in December 2022. After the placement of the students, the personnel shortage will be reduced to 360. Our provincial commissioner, which is very hardworking in making sure that our aim of bringing stability in Mpumalanga is realized under the limited resources. What I want to sponsor in this debate is that Treasury, legislatures, and everyone else must make sure that we make safety of our people in the country and in our province a priority. Then that is what is going to bring stability, and that is what is going to bring investors. If we talk of tourism, no tourist or tourist countries will want to come to Mpumalanga or South Africa if you have a case like what happened in Kruger National Park, where a tourist from Germany was killed. And that needs policing. That needs everyone to realize that policing is a very complicated part of, our work as a country.
As you conclude, Mtimanze.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I have a lot to say about issues of safety and out, but issues of police, including the way we handle, we treat our resources that are used by police in our different provinces and in our country. You know, some of the things that were happening during apartheid time, where some of them were wrong, but there were good practices during that time. Wawungeke Nyambi uthole imoto yemelo yellow iservice noma kukuliphi igarage imoto ehamba iphoyisa during that time. And that is state security. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Mtimanze, VR. I've noted that the Honorable MEC of Eastern Cape is back in the platform, but now I'll start by giving to Honorable Bloom from Northern Cape. Honorable Bloom.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nyambi. Thank you very much for the opportunity once more. The DM, General Dimpani, honorable members present, all members who are present on the platform of this session. The purpose of this presentation, which I'm going to make to the National Council of Provinces with an overview of policing priorities in the Northern Cape Province, as well as the current resources and challenges regarding resourcing of stations in the province. As we know, that crime and the prevention thereof remains one of the biggest challenges facing the Northern Cape provincial government. Now, dealing with the stigma of being the most violent province in the country, the province seeks to effectively addressing violent crimes and the contributing factors thereto, with specific focus on gender-based violence and substance abuse. Now, success in building safer communities is beyond the ability of the criminal justice system alone. Now, it requires a partnership approach within and across government departments and between government, private, and business sectors. Now, the Department of Transport, Safety and Liaison is therefore facilitating a process in building safer communities by ensuring that an integrated approach towards safety and security is implemented and enhancing the coordination across government departments, private sector, and community organizations. Now, this integration includes the sharing of resources, that is the human, and financial, and physical resources. Now, the integrated approach, the Provincial Crime Prevention Strategy 2030 emphasizes the establishment of community safety partnerships at a local level in ensuring the integration of community safety services, in building community confidence, and in ensuring local solutions to local issues of concern. Now, due to the budget limitations, Department of Transport, Safety and Liaison and SAPS integrates resources to support the development and effective functioning of CPFs at the local level. Now, the three entities work integratedly in tandem to address current social ills in the province in preventing this crime. Now, hence, what we have, are having a hands-on support programs. Now, as DTSL, we managed to lead the implementation of the 5 provincial integrated social crime prevention strategies, focusing on the enhancement of community safety at a local level. Now, these programs are Program 1, the anti-substance abuse, stop violence against women, stop violence against children, stopping violence against youth, and also community outreach programs, that is mobilization. Now, Department of Transport, Safety and Liaison resources, which are the human, financial, and physical towards the implementation of these integrated programs. There was a budget of 360,000 that was allocated for the implementation of this program for the financial year 2021-2022. Now, the hands-on support, which are the physical resources, the department managed to procure the following items in support of the integrated crime prevention initiatives: 500 reflective jackets for community in blue patrollers, that were from the 5 districts, 100 each district, going to be were provided with reflective jackets, supporting towards the provincial community police forum AGM meeting, whereby the department purchased 200 t-shirts for the delegates, and also for catering donated 30 bicycles to Rietfontein, which is almost the border post of towards the Namibia border, and Daniel scale subs to increase visible police in the department donated 30 bicycles. Now, hands-on support, which is the victim-friendly facilities. We have refurbishment of victim-friendly facilities at Kaminskroon, which is total upgrade and refurbishment of the park home, the Postmansburg, which is the refurbishment of park home, also the Tsineng, the Griekostad, the Mother Rafir, and then the employee wellness program. Safety participants, these participants were placed high at police stations where crime is high to implement social crime prevention projects. Now in the province, we're having both the internal and external deficiencies impacting on policing. The total number of burdens, total number of non-developed police stations, there are 62. Developed police stations are 22. Leased police stations are 7. Satellite police stations are 6. Number of leased officers are 71. Now the total number of state-owned buildings or officers are 29. Now the total number of subs garages, we are having 5, whereby they are in DR, Kuruman, and Appington within police stations premises. The leasing portfolio, the province administers a total number of 86 leases. The 7 police station, the 71 office accommodation and parking, the total of 8 communication towers. Now challenges, all leased police stations do not have generators, and the non-maintenance of leased buildings by landlords. Conditions of our police stations in the Northern Cape. Total number of police stations in the province are 91, which are 50 being in bad or fair conditions, and only 41 in good conditions. Now, in order to summarize accommodation needs, there are office needs which are needed in Rodapan, Kagisho, all those areas alongside in all 5 districts in the province. Now, capital works priorities. There are construction of new police stations, which are the Rimfast Mark 1, which is currently in execution. The Motivistad, the Komachas, the Pampierstad, Pabalelo, Bootsa, Pienenvlei, Sunrise, Van der Kloof, and the Botitong 1. Additional requirements, as I mentioned before, generators. Total of 15 police stations don't have generators. 7 are leased and 8 are non-devolved. 6 stations need replacement that are non-devolved. That are Appington, Motivistad, Pampierstad DR, Olifantshoek, and Victoria West. Now, park homes. Police stations need additional office accommodation. They are 10 in number. Police stations need facilities in the province of 14. And then the challenges, the lack of human resource capacity at all levels within the province, the shortage of vehicles, requirement of generators at station level, additional office accommodation as well accommodation for the employees placed at rural stations, poor infrastructure in towns and villages in respect of street lighting and roads, the vastness of the province that affects service delivery and access of the vehicles. Station commander post. At 91 police stations, we are having 91 station commander posts, of which 77 are currently filled. 14 station commander posts are still vacant. Now, total posts advertised. Now, at the level of the recruitment, a total.
As you conclude, MEC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nyambi. A total number of 382 entry-level posts filled with distribution as proposed by National. 242 posts allocated to POP, 25 posts allocated to FCS units, 34 posts allocated to detective environment at station level, which is currently in the selection and still in process, recruitment process. 81 posts allocated to visible policing at station level. Now, a total number of 125 employees and reservists recruitment for constables. Students currently undergoing training at SAPS, academic. 4 students withdrew from training. Students would only be allocated per station once the selection process of POPs and FCS and detectives are finalized. Now, if I can come into the conclusion, is that priority crimes in the province, serious and violent crimes, whereby houses, break-ins, car hijacking, and business robberies, property crime, murderers, gender-based violence, sexual offenders, illegal firearms, commercial crime, drugs, security, intelligence. If I conclude, Honorable Nyambi, my recommendations are as follows. In order to maintain sustainable policing, although law enforcement agencies do their best to sustain policy through weekly high density operation in the violating policy areas, we continue with the utilization of resources from neighboring stations, which is not actually sustainable. The need therefore exists for a sustainability of policy intervention through resourcing police stations adequately to fulfill their constitutional mandate. The establishment of the safer city concept.
Conclude, MEC.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you very much, Honorable Nyambi. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Bloom. The next will be Honorable Lehari from Northwest Province. Honorable Lehari. Honorable Lehari. Let's go straight to Western Cape, Honorable MEC Allen.
Chairperson, am I audible and visible?
Yes, we are visible and we are audible.
Chairperson, good afternoon, Deputy Minister, together with all officials and honorable members. Today's topic is quite fitting, and there is a realization that there is an expectation for our SAPS officers to be effective in crime-fighting efforts, that they have to be well-resourced. We have stated year on year is that our policing needs and priorities in our province should be taken into account in order to meet the demand here in the province. Chairperson, it is a known fact that provincial executive does not have any powers of resource allocation in the province. Resource allocation, fixed establishments, and the number and grading of posts are all determined at the national level. This is a matter that requires urgent amendments, and as these allocations should not be determined, at least it shouldn't be determined 1,500 kilometers away, all the way in Pretoria. Chairperson, the Deputy Minister stated earlier on that we need to do the best with what we have and with planning and foresight. He spoke about the poor allocation of members should be addressed. In addition to this, the DM also then said that we needed to be more innovative in combating crime. We need an intelligence-led policing approach, and the resources are to be allocated on an equitable basis. Chairperson, sadly, we have heard this before. The Equality Court ruling in 2018 stated clearly that the theoretical human resource requirement allocation for the Western Cape has been discriminating against poor people and based on race. This is still a fact to this day, which is actually an indictment on the national government to a very sad extent, but also to the detriment of residents here in the Western Cape. But there is an irony, Chairperson, in the number of recruits that the Western Cape is due to receive in the current financial year. Initially, there was an allocation of 1,939 new recruits. We are now going to get 1,118 by December, but this is fewer of 821 that is actually needed to just meet the 10% vacancy rate. Now, Chairperson, we haven't been informed why we are receiving fewer officers. I'm not wanting to speculate that it's due to ESCOM or needing to bail out another state-owned entity, but we are seeing year on year a decrease coupled with a 10% vacancy rate in our province, which is leaving our SAPS members, our dedicated members, at a disadvantage. I walk into a CSC and I see one officer. I've seen one particular vehicle checkpoint where one officer is doing it all alone. It can never be accepted. It is against the SOP. Hence, we are continuing to fight for SAPS members here in the province so that they can be better resourced and better equipped. Now, Chairperson, the Western Cape's granted establishment is just over 21,300. The actual number of SAPS officers are 19,505. And in should I?
Can you continue? Honorable members, can you please mute? You are protected, Honorable Allen.
Thank you so much. I'm going to try to continue stating the fact because we've been very clear. If I look to my left now, I have a quote in my office that says that we are in the business of policing and of safety, and we are not wanting to play games. We are wanting to make sure that we are actually highlighting our policing needs, that when people try to interject, when we want to place the residents of the Western Cape, the SAPS members at the front of what we are trying to fight. Because, Chairperson, we are consistently hearing that in this province that we are the most resourced. As among others, there's an anti-gang unit, which other provinces do not have. The truth is that these are not new members that come into the service or the unit. These are members taken from other sectors and stations, but they have not been replaced at those sectors and stations. Adequate resourcing is clearly not a priority, and we are seeing it year on year. A caring national government is sadly not found here in the Western Cape. A caring national government isn't seen as a competency as the lead agency here in the Western Cape. But, Chairperson, and this is part of the reason why we have made safety a priority in the province. We refuse to be idle in the fight against crime, and given our national government do not have an appetite to strengthen SAPS's hand in the province, we've decided to do so. In 2020, in partnership with the City of Cape Town, we launched our Law Enforcement Advancement Plan, better known as LEAP officers. And, Chairperson, these officers who are deployed in murder hotspots across the Cape Metro stems from the Western Cape Safety Plan. Chairperson, we now have 1,261 LEAP officers that are currently deployed in 13 areas, of which 10 of those areas form part of our top 10 murder areas in the Western Cape. These include areas such as Delft, Guguletu, Harare, Khayelitsha, Kraaifontein, Umfuleni, Mitchells Plain, Nyanga, Philippi, and Samora Machel. The other high crime areas are where deployments are in Atlantis, Bishop Lavis, and in Nova Park, and recently Lavender Hill, Steenberg, and Grassy Park. Chairperson, it's important to note that the placement of these officers are not done on an uninformed or willy-nilly basis, but rather strategically and backed up by data. In addition to the LEAP officers, and in being innovative, the Deputy Minister said earlier on that we need innovation, we need an innovative approach. We've been doing that and incorporating technology. Earlier this year, the Western Cape government launched the Provincial Safety Dashboard, and this dashboard, which is updated every 3 days, provide real-time data to provincial safety stakeholders. And it's so significant because this dashboard helps to ensure that there's a data-led and evidence-based approach towards law enforcement, towards policing here in the province, and while also guiding us in our violence prevention interventions, because this means we are able to direct the LEAP officers into areas, places, and spaces where they are mostly needed. It must also be mentioned earlier on when the Deputy Minister said that SAPS at the national level is doing 3 BSOs per month, and they talk to the communities as the eyes and ears on the ground. Here in the Western Cape, we have gone further also by capacitating, training, funding, and accrediting over 16 6,000 neighborhood watch members. We also fund our CPFs. We also play a significant role in communities with safety stakeholders so that we can have that whole of government, whole of society approach. But there is a lesson to be learned on resource allocation, Chairperson, as this is on the ground and in a province, in a municipality, that effective deployment of law enforcement, as we know what our needs are. SAPS officers will inform you about how these LEAP officers are assisting them in making their job a little bit easier. Chairperson, it's a fact that nothing can beat boots on the ground and visible policing, and this is the very first step in crime prevention. When resources are deployed and utilized effectively, it bolsters the crime fighting efforts. These LEAP officers are clearly showing, together with the South African Police Service, having joint operations, working with neighborhood watches and with safety structures, that we are seeing successes. Areas where LEAP officers are deployed actually showed an overall 3% reduction in the murder rate in the period of 1 January to the end of June 2022. When we compare that with 2019, but Chairperson, equally and deeply disturbing actually is that during the same period, murder increased by 21% in our country and only 4% here in the Western Cape. And this might have been much lower considering if we should have had our sufficient policing needs and priorities being taken into account and have the boots on the ground and the SAPS members being well-resourced. As I conclude, we cannot forget that the 2020 midterm budget policy statement period, where national government cut over 11 billion rand from key departments like the South African Police Service, like education, like the NPA, like justice, to fund a state-owned entity that was failing in the form of SAA. So when the Deputy Minister mentions that a variety of factors that have brought us here, may the record reflect that it's due, sadly, to poor fiscal decisions, wide-scale corruption, and sadly, incompetencies from a national government. The National Minister of Police is fully aware that Section 206 of the Constitution requires him to determine national policing policy after consulting the provincial governments and taking into account the policing needs and priorities in this province. Unfortunately, there is no clear indication that the annual policing needs and priorities of the Western Cape have been taken into account. It is not just for...
As you conclude, Honorable Allen.
Chairperson, thank you. As I conclude, I want to say that let us be innovative, let us be bold, let us actually discuss how policing can be closer to the people so that the decisions that are made affect the very people that need to be served are taken into account. It's sad when you hear year on year in other provinces the same matter over and over and over when people are dying. We cannot allow this to continue, and we need to actually protect our SAPS members, our residents. And when we want to do everything in our power, we definitely are standing by it. And thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable MC Allen. The next speaker is Councillor Naidu, Salga representative. Councillor Naidu. Councillor Naidu seem not to be connected. Let's go straight to MEC Ngata from Eastern Cape. Honorable MEC from the Eastern Cape. In and out of the system. MEC Radzilani from Limpopo province. Honorable Radzilani, I know you're on the platform. It was about the power slide. MEC Radzilani.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and good afternoon to our Deputy Minister, honorable members on the platform, the representatives of SALGA, my colleagues from other provinces, and all government officials. Good afternoon to all of you. Chairperson, I'm going to be very much brief particularly because I'm still experiencing a technical problem in terms of receiving the report. But safe to say, without even going into other issues, let me indicate that as a province, we do have a strategy in place for improving our performance, especially when it comes to fighting crime in the province. I'm talking about crimes such as contact crimes, wherein we are trying our best as the province to ensure that we enforce the Liquor Act. All those who are not complying, especially the liquor outlets that are there, because they've mushroomed. We are trying our best, working together with the Department of Ledet to make sure that we close those that are not complying. Of course, we also encounter some resistance when it comes to some of the community members. You might have heard the recent incident, what happened around Mopani district in Linyenye and in Kowankowa, where one of the community members ended up losing his life, particularly because of the intervention that we are making as the province. Another part of trying to work very hard, it's on the conduct of awareness campaign. I was very much happy when the deputy minister was touching the real resource that we have as a country, our own community members, our own people, because this thing, it has been there quite for some time, where even some of us who are in government, when we go out there, when the crimes are conducted, we seem to be pointing fingers to say police seem not to be doing anything, while we were supposed to be checking the population of the country versus the number of personnel that we have in terms of SAPS personnel. So I'm quite agreeing with the deputy minister that if we can intensify the public awareness campaign, where we also teach our people to take responsibilities. We have already started in Limpopo. I'm reminding people of the province that when I became the MEC for Safety and Security in 2012, the population of the province by then, it was around 4 million. And when you check in terms of the number of the police, it was only 14,000. So this is the message that we must continue to deliver to our people if we are to win the fight against crime. Another issue that we are doing, I think I spoke about creating awareness campaign, also making sure that those community policing forums that are there, they are effective, they are able to discharge their responsibilities. But I want to bring to the attention of this platform so that the deputy minister might also assist on this part. Government has made a very good proposal to say, let's have these community structures, let's put the budget in place so that we also pay stipends to them. As and when the province in Limpopo was doing this, there was the advice from the Auditor General to say, all those who are participants in these community structures, you must make sure that they are checked thoroughly. There's security check to detect if these are the real citizens of the country and they are not involved in criminal activities. Where we are having a serious hiccup as a province, which then makes these structures not to be functional. Those who are participating in these structures, they went to police station, they take the fingerprint. Unfortunately, to get those results, it becomes a problem, and it ended up discouraging those who are serving in these community structures. But I spoke with the provincial commissioner. We are in the process of correcting this. We'll take all the list, go to all police stations and demand that those results are released so that we also make sure that we strengthen and empower our community members who are assisting government to fight this crime. Another issue, it's on the part of arresting the suspects. I think the police, they are hard at work. They are trying their best to arrest those who are found on the wrong side of the law. The issues of challenges, I think we are not different from other provinces. On the operational of our garages, that's where we are also experiencing very serious challenges, because the turnaround time for the vehicles that are taken to our garages, you might find that they stay there quite for a long time on the basis that the personnel allocated for that functions are not able to discharge their responsibilities due to limited resources that are there. But I'm quite happy when I was listening to the Deputy Minister that some of the challenges that we are facing as the province, if we can try and focus, we can be able to address them. Chairperson, I said I'm going to be very brief on the basis that due to technical challenge, I'm still waiting for the department to email the report to me, because I'm not in the province. My apologies once more, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Honorable members, it's unfortunate that Councillor Naidu had some challenges that were beyond his control. That is why it was impossible to represent Salga. We will now take a 30 minutes break. From now, strictly 22, we have to be back on the platform. You can't, you can leave it without logging out. If you're going to log out, you have to log in 30 minutes so that Honorable House Chair Ngwenya will take the session where you will be asking questions to our provinces. Or before I do that, Honorable Mohai, Chief Whip.
House Chair. Thanks, House Chair. I think that is entirely for your discretion, but I wanted to check with you if members were granted the opportunity, whether or not they are raising specific questions with the MECs, would we not proceed and conclude? Because, yeah, but I'm just saying, I hear what you are saying. I thought that maybe the engagements, and because that some other issues are referred to the select committee, maybe for further processing.
No, it's possible to do that.
Okay.
Let me, Honorable Ngalta, I see you are back in the platform, but I won't give you your maximum time because you were not in. I'll allow you to raise your point on behalf of Eastern Cape. Honorable Ngalta.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chair. My apologies. I think network, I've been keeping on changing spots where I am, even to places where I usually have good connectivity. I did not succeed. And thanks for your understanding. And greetings to you, Honorable Chair, the Deputy Chair, the Deputy Minister, honorable members. Good afternoon. The work of fighting crime is becoming more complex and therefore more challenging. And criminals have now become more organized and more sophisticated, operating with little regard to law, which forces us to come up with innovative ways to fight crime and to ensure that the police officers have been adequately skilled for current criminals that are on the street. The resourcing of the police service has been a challenged one, which continues to compromise the ability for the police officers to provide professional services. As we struggle, policing models and technology should be considered, we argue, as a major factor in the current society. We must be innovative in our strategies, and the new strategies of fighting crime have been put into community, have to put communities at the center of keeping their own policing. so that they have become part as active citizenry to work together with the police and the communities. As a province, we have witnessed a rise in violent crimes, specifically affecting three main areas: Buffalo City, OR Tambo, and Nelson Mandela, which we have used those sort of stats to inform our strategies and resource allocations under this constrained environment. And our province being a rural province, and the needs allocations, which require sizable allocation in terms of the demands on the ground. We are upskilling and strengthening our crime intelligence, as some crimes are repetitive and they could be prevented if this unit is adequately resourced. As we speak, Honorable Chair, as a province, we are confronted with the matters of Amajola area in OR Tambo, where there is community conflict, the killing of each other and the burning of each other's houses, and SARS being there 24/7. It's a matter that Deputy Minister have written to the Minister requiring more support, as the terrain is quite difficult and a vast area. Also, the phenomena that is coming up in the province and the killing and the burning of houses of councillors, it's something that we're working very hard to arrest, Honorable Chair. I've sent a presentation, to the Secretariat, which outlines resource allocations under this constrained environment, including the total number of police officers and the total number of support, that is operational vis-a-vis support, and the allocation of resources to various police stations. Honorable Chair, on those few words, this is the submission we wish to make as a province. The emphasis really is that we need cooperative work to work together, and we also need to bring about active citizenry, as some of crimes are difficult to police, are not policeable, because some they are taking place in households, they are done committed by people who know each other. And therefore, at the center of the whole strategy of community policing is to ensure that we build these organs of people's power, CPFs and others, to be active in order to arrest, the scourge. Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members.
Thank you very much, Honorable MEC. Thank you. We understand the situation of the network connection. Without much ado, I will take this opportunity and give it to House Chair, Honorable Ngwenya, to deal with the questions and lead the program to its logical conclusion. Ngwenya, Mama. Honorable Ngwenya.
We suggest that you proceed, Chair.
Okay, let me take the questions. The first one will be Honorable Dango, Ambassador, followed by Honorable Boshoff. Honorable Dango.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, my question is really to the MEC for the Western Cape. The areas mentioned earlier in Gauteng that was affected by crime and gang crime of Rivoli, Eldorado Park, etc., is really a result of the spillover of the gang warfare that comes from the Western Cape, now spilling over into Gauteng. Have they shared information of individuals with their counterparts in Gauteng? Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Dango. The next is Honorable Boshoff.
Thank you very much, House Chair, and good afternoon. My question is directed to MEC Shongwe in Mpumalanga. MEC, you touched on very good points with regard to corruption and crime, which is wreaking havoc in our province. And you also touched on the aspect with regard to the German tourist that was killed recently. Can you give me an indication as to whether any engagement has taken place with yourself, the Minister of Tourism, and the Minister of Police regarding the lack of resources at the Masoi police station? We know that this area is rife when it comes to community protests and the safety of our tourists and our local tourists as well. So I'd just like to know if any engagement has taken place, because in a meeting with the Minister of Tourism, Honorable Sisulu, she indicated that they would be engaging to look into the possibility of closing that road, and then also engage with regard to looking into the lack of resources at the Masoi police station. Then I'd also like to know if you have had any engagements with DMR and the Minister of Police and Home Affairs with regard to the illegal mining that is taking place, especially around Barberton, Pilgrim's Rest, and God's Window. It is really taking its toll on all the residents. Thank you, House Chair.
Thank you. The next is Honorable Matebula. Thank you very much, Honorable Nyambe, and my apologies for not switching off the video. You know, I'm staying in the village. The network is nearly poor. If I can switch off on the videos, I won't speak. And then mine is regarding, I was very disappointed, Chairperson, regarding the presentation by the Limpopo MEC. I expected more, because in Limpopo we are facing many challenges. According to the recent statistic, House Chair, the MEC must answer, because we have experienced high rape offenses in our province, which Toyando is ranked the fifth with 60 cases. Guyana ranked 17th with 42 cases. Sishiko ranked with 39 cases, and Makwele Ring with 38 cases. I just wanted to check with the MEC. Honorable members, can we mute if we are not recognized? It's only Honorable Matebula that is speaking now. Conclude your question, Honorable Matebula. I wanted to check with the MEC in Limpopo. What are they doing to address this challenge of sexual offenses in Limpopo, as is the number one in the country? Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Honorable Nana, hot chocolate.
Thanks, Chairman. Chairman, I'm not sure if MEC Ngata is on the platform.
Yeah, it's on the platform.
Oh, okay, cool.
Why should you doubt in the first place, Honorable Nana? You are not presiding here.
No, I wanted to direct the question.
No, leave Honorable Chief.
No, I wanted to direct a question to MEC Ngata, so I wouldn't want to ask a question if he's not here. Thanks very much, House Chairperson. MEC Ngata, I wanted to check, man. A while ago, myself and Honorable Whitfield conducted an oversight in BG police station. And as you will know, this is close to Mthatha or Artambo district. The first thing that struck my mind was the interlinking road from the main road to the police station. If we were not driving on a 4x4, we could not go through that road to the police station. We had stories, and next to the police station, as you may know, is a magistrate's office. We've had stories that the situation gets so bad when it's raining, because government officials, including the chief magistrate himself, can't get to the magistrate's office. They have to leave their cars on the main road, get on their, wear their gumboots and walk towards work. Now, that's something which should really be demoralizing to both, the personnel at the magistrate's office and also at the police station. I would like to check if this matter has been brought to your attention, and if yes, what are the plans? If no, would you take the trouble and go and see for yourself the situation in PG? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Nana. Honorable Ryder.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chair, mine is not a question because my MEC is not here to take questions. So it's actually a comment to speak to the issues around these ministerial briefings and to ask, when an MEC gives their apologies, to come and field some questions at least, because we have really got pressing issues with the population growth that was.
On a point of order,
Honorable Ryder, it's an in-house thing. We can deal with it outside this platform. It's a relevant matter, but I don't think we can pin it to the MEC. I've noted it at an appropriate time of going to engage about it. Let's go straight to the responses.
Chairperson, if I may just respond on a point of order.
No,
the
don't
MEC,
respond, Honorable Dango. I've dealt with it.
You've done, but just to explain, the
okay, you can explain, Honorable Dango.
Conference is taking place in Gauteng.
Chair, how can you explain when I
the minister is the host at that particular.
Yes, we're aware that there's a GBF conference in Midrand. Honorable Allen, starting with the question by Honorable Dango. Honorable MEC Allen, Western Cape. Honorable MEC Allen.
Good day, Chairperson. I missed that particular question. Was a question posed to me?
Yes.
I missed that particular question. Can I get a repeat, please?
You are not focused now. Honorable Dango, can you repeat it so that I don't distort you?
Chairperson, yes. To inquire whether the Western Cape has shared intelligence with their counterparts in Gauteng regarding the issues of gang warfare, because the areas mentioned, El Dorado Park, Westbury, Riverlea, is really a direct result of the spillover of the gang warfares in the Western Cape now in those particular areas. Have they shared information with them?
Thank you, Honorable Dango.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Dango. Honorable MEC Allen.
Chairperson, thank you so much for that particular question. What I will undertake is to highlight this particular matter again with the provincial commissioner, because the comments made by Honorable Dango actually resonates with me. Because we actually are even now wanting to extend the recommendations that were submitted by the Western Cape Police Ombudsman with regard to the amount of known drug houses. I think members of this house will appreciate this particular set of information, in that I've launched an investigation into the amount of known drug houses within our province, and that amounted to 1,557 known drug houses, sadly more than public schools. Over the last 3 months, we have managed to shut down 118, and we are monitoring the recommendations made by General Reddy, who is our Western Cape Police Ombudsman, and I have had initial discussions about how we are able to implement that particular recommendations and highlight that to other provinces like Gauteng, like KZN, where there's also organized crime, linking it back to gangsterism, as we have seen that spill over, and we hear of it consistently as well. So I will be making that commitment to again address this with the PC and make sure that this is a matter that I address at MINMEC as well. So Honorable Dango, thank you so much for this particular question.
Thank you. Honorable VR Shongwe, question asked by Honorable Boshoff.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. And let me thank Honorable Boshoff for the question, a very relevant question that deals with tourism, particularly that one of German that was killed by notorious, uninformed young people who do not know where are we heading to with our country. And then I still condemn that to the strongest term. Indeed, we are not sitting in our laurels. We are making sure that we engage with all the stakeholders to discuss the issue, particularly of Kruger National Park, the Numbi Gate in question. The Minister of Tourism, the honorable member must understand that the line of march is that I am talking to the Ministry of Police in a form of MINMEC or in a form of one-on-one. And then I can only at national level refer my issues or my challenges to the Ministry of Police to be able to interact with his colleagues, which he is doing it, Minister Ubaba Ubheki, and a number of stakeholders that are involved in that particular area. And ourselves as a provincial government, we are of an opinion that is against of closing the Numbi Gate because of those few notorious people who think they can hold our province into ransom by terrorizing our tourists that are visiting our province. One of the elements that we have done, we have requested Mbombela municipality to remove all those speed humps that are going to Kruger National Park on the Numbi Gate in particular, so that the flow of traffic can be of an emergency if needs be. And then we are also engaging with my unit that is going to be launched very soon, the traffic intervention unit, that must also play a particular visible role on that particular area. And I will not disclose why am I saying the TIU must be involved there, because of a particular special training that they have received in assisting our Lieutenant General Manamela with all the efforts that they are doing in making sure that there is no place that is called no-go area for anyone in our province. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Dimanze. When the sun rises, we must continue working harder. Honorable Ngalta, by the question from Honorable Nana.
Yeah. Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thanks to Honorable Nana about the question. I was not aware, Honorable Member. Now that I'm aware, unfortunately, the portfolio, I'm also responsible for the roads portfolio in the province. I've already directed the team from our department to make a follow-up on the matter. I can even revert back to the member outside the session in terms of what are the plans. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable MEC Ngata. Next is Honorable MEC Radzilani from Limpopo. Question asked by Honorable Honorable Radzilani.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Let me start by appreciating the question raised by Honorable Member. But I want to put it on record, Honorable Chair, that as a province, we do have a plan in place that we are implementing to try and reduce the sexual offences crime committed in the province. We are very much concerned, as well as the province, that we seem to be leading in terms of sexual offences crime. Hence, we put together this plan through the following program, Chair. We make sure that we address all the, in fact, embarking on the tracing of suspects as and when these crimes are committed. The suspects are traced, and those that are found, they are apprehended. And one other part, Honorable Chair, it's on the awareness campaign where we try and empower women in terms of the Domestic Violence Act. We also empower our school children through our school safety programs, and also to intensify the arrest of known perpetrators, as I indicated. And one other area, Honorable Chair, it's on the part of leakages of these suspects through DNA analysis, where we try to check how many cases have they committed in the province, and at the end they get arrested. And working together with Social Development Department, we give continuous support to the sexual offences victims. Thanks very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable MEC Radzilani from Limpopo Province. Colleagues, it's always a good opportunity for us as representatives of these different provinces when we have our MECs and members of National Cabinet with this ministerial briefing, so that we can have a better sense and ask all the relevant questions. And from time to time, where there are some impossible challenges, we'll always highlight in terms of apologies. And it's a desirable outcome every time to always have the reps from the different provinces. But as it has been explained, there are instances like in Gauteng and KZN today. KZN, they're dealing with a bill. They forwarded an apology because the MEC is expected to present that particular bill today. So that is why they are not on the platform. But be that as it may, allow me to take this opportunity to invite Ntate Mohai, the Chief Whip of the National Council of Provinces, to present the concluding remarks. Ntate Mohai.
Thank you very much, House Chair and Honorable Deputy Chairperson, Honorable Deputy Minister Castle Matale, honorable members of the National Council of Provinces and special delegates who today are led by the MECs from respective provinces. Ladies and gentlemen, we converge today a few hours after the senseless and heartless murder of 7 vendors in Finetown, Enedale in Johannesburg, after they resisted having their chicken feed stolen and robbed off the poultry takings. Allow me to join millions of our people who have condemned and deplored such senseless, cold-blooded killings. We join our hearts in loss and grief with the families of the deceased and convey our heartfelt condolences. We also welcome the decisiveness in which the South African police has responded to the matter and the commitments that were made by Minister of Police to respond to the criminality in the community of Finetown. We wish those who were injured a speedy recovery. We also have learned with great shock and sadness the brutal and senseless murder of an elderly man in a wheelchair who was shot dead in Westbury, Johannesburg yesterday, while the body of another man was found burned beyond recognition in the same area. We equally condemn these senseless murders and call on the police to leave no stone unturned in bringing the perpetrators to book. We look also with great anticipation on the GBV summit, the presidential summit today, that it will come out with various strategies to ensure that this demon is dealt a blow once and for all in our country and elsewhere. Honorable Deputy Chairperson, today's ministerial briefing session on the resourcing of police service and police stations has further demonstrated the need to have these sessions to thoroughly engage on matters concerning the delivery of services to our people and the capacity of the state to respond to their needs. It is further highlighted the need to renew our pledge for partnerships at all levels of our society to wage a concerted battle against crime and criminality in our society. It also highlighted the agency of government to put more resources and greater agency in the fight against resourcing of police service and police stations to appropriately equip them to ensure the safety of our people. The advent of democracy in our country ushered in what is without doubt the most optimistic era in the history of our country. Whereas apartheid obliged policemen and policewomen to disregard human rights of our people, they have now been offered a place of pride in the process of building a new and better life for all. The advent of democracy brought about the potential for unprecedented progress for our country and held out the promise that our people would be able to live their lives in a prosperous peace. We cannot allow our people to be terrorized, robbed, raped, and even murdered in cold blood. Our people are facing unimaginable violence from heartless and callous criminals who show no mercy in pursuit of their selfish deeds. I'm aware of the enormous challenges faced by members of our police service. Many police officers and their families have become victims of violent crimes. It must be acknowledged that the police officers in South Africa have a much greater chance of being murdered in a cold blood in the line of duty and in defense of our people. We need to appreciate and encourage the efforts of those police officers who often go beyond the call of duty to ensure the safety of their fellow citizens. We must do whatever it takes to ensure that they are appropriately resourced and supported to ensure the safety of our people. We are mindful of the fiscal constraints that impact on the resourcing of the police and the police infrastructure. We are in agreement that the fight against crime requires a collective effort by the society at large, working together with the police. The Deputy Minister has correctly pointed out the need for partnership with communities and the constant work by all of us to mobilize communities to share information on time with the police. We know the reality that the budget allocation that is impacted upon by the population growth and migration, especially in Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, and Western Cape, as these provinces continue to experience the inward migration that is linked to migration to these provinces for socio-economic reasons. There is a greater agency to relook at the distribution of budget and department to ensure that these provinces are appropriately equipped to deal decisively with the challenges of economic crimes. We are encouraged by the reprioritization of the budget allocation by the department to deal with issues of gangsterism, as well as thorny issue of gender-based violence. The attack on various police stations remain a matter of serious concern. We need to ensure that the police is appropriately equipped to function and serve our people even during load shedding, which when they are more vulnerable to crime and criminality. We know the staff allocation is informed by population level, as well as the crime statistics of different areas or provinces. We must, however, continue to ensure that even smaller provinces are appropriately resourced and that rural communities and farmers are also protected at all times. We must also take this opportunity to welcome the commitment by the Minister of Finance, who announced in the medium-term budget speech last week that funding has been made available for the recruitment of an additional 15,000 new entry-level police trainees over the next 3 financial years. The allocated medium-term budget will assist in capacitation of the police stations and providing service and capacitation of the police service and police stations rather. We know the challenges relating to fixing of the vehicles. We're encouraged by the new vehicles that have been ordered for different provinces. This will strengthen police as they fight crime, as well as aiding police visibility. The procurement of the helicopter is also welcome. members made an appeal to ensure the procurement processes are enhanced to deliver on time and with greater agencies. The number of police stations and satellite police stations have increased as compared to a few years ago to respond to the reality of population growth. However, a lot is still required in rolling out police stations and satellite police stations to other areas. House Chair, to conclude, let me quote George Orwell once. He said, I quote, "People sleep peacefully in their beds at night only because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalf." We owe a debt of gratitude to the men and women who continue to their lives, take this heavy responsibility of serving the nation and protecting our people. We owe a debt of gratitude to the police officers, detectives and investigators, forensic analysts, K9 unit, and scientists who work tirelessly to protect our people from heartless criminals and the scourge of violence. We really appreciate the work that is done by men and women in blue, and will continuously work together to ensure that hyenas in our communities are rooted out. Thank you, House Chair.
Thank you very much, Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, Honorable Mohai. Thanks to the Deputy Minister, generals from SABS, Deputy Chair of the National Council of Provinces, MECs, honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, I now officially declared this ministerial briefing closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Deputy
you,
Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chief Whip.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Mamas.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank
you, Babas.
Thank you, Mama.
Bye-bye.
Chief Whip.
Siyabonga, Baba Sileku. I nearly thought say Baba Mseleku, but Baba Sileku.
Honorable Nana, we bonile la response.
Thank you.
Honorable Nana.